Episode 271, The First Lesson. Evelyn's mood had already calmed down a lot. These few days, she had been thinking a lot more calmly. She thought about everything in her life right now, Harvey, Mark, and much more. After all the thinking, she decided to have a good talk with Harvey. She couldn't agree to Harvey's proposal, but she couldn't bear to lose the person she had finally fallen for. On one side was Harvey, who had finally fallen in love with her. And on the other side was her brother, whom she couldn't let go of no matter what. Evelyn couldn't ignore Mark's pain, but was giving up on Harvey the only way? Though the path to happiness had been created for her, she knew that if Mark weren't happy, she wouldn't be able to be happy. Even if it was just a tiny bit of hope, she still had a belief that Harvey would appear in her world, in her future. Evelyn hoped he would wait for her if he loved her that much, even if it was just a sliver of hope. As of now, our happiness needs to wait, but I'm sure it will come searching for us one day. Evelyn took a plane back to New York City with a perfect plan. Evelyn expected to find Harvey when she got off the plane, but things were not as she had hoped. Someone approached her immediately when she exited the airport and said, "Miss Petal, our employer, Mrs. Cage, wants to see you." Evelyn frowned. She did not understand why she wanted to see her again. She didn't know what kind of trouble it was this time, but she didn't want any part of it. She couldn't think of any way out of this. "Lead the way," Evelyn said. She nodded and followed the man. The car drove to the Cage mansion. Evelyn thought the old woman was only here to talk to her. She did not expect that she would be detained as soon as she went in. "What are you doing?" Two well-trained guards grabbed both of her arms and easily lifted her off the ground. The feeling of weightlessness made Evelyn panic. Evelyn did not struggle but gritted her teeth. "What are you all doing? Let go of me!" She began to struggle as they brought her to the backyard. Dolores sat there with a few maids and seemed to be waiting for her. Those two men brought Evelyn in front of Dolores. Evelyn gritted her teeth and looked at her. "If you have anything to say it, say it. What is it? Are you going to kill me to silence me? Your mouth is still as sharp as ever. You have no manners. Since you are to be the granddaughter-in-law of the Cage family, you need to learn about the family rules. I will teach you those," Dolores said with a cold smile. Evelyn vaguely remembered that she had mentioned this matter before. She had said Evelyn would have to learn about the family's traditions. Evelyn said, "If you want me to learn the family history and everything, then make these two goons let go of me." Evelyn instinctively had a bad feeling before a slap landed across her face. This slap completely stunned Evelyn. Her parents had never hit her. Mark protected her, so no one ever dared to bully her. Even Harvey, who was so arrogant, had never raised his hand. But this woman hit her again. Clenching her teeth and glaring at Dolores, Evelyn angrily said, "Do you think I will compromise because I am afraid of you? Dream on. Slap me a few more times if you want, but you can't convince me." Before Evelyn could finish her sentence, another slap landed on the other side of her face. Evelyn was caught off guard and bit the inside of her cheek, causing blood to flow out from her mouth. Her face was burning from the slapping and had become numb. Dolores retracted her hand in a very noble manner and looked coldly at Evelyn. "These 3 slaps were meant to teach you to respect the elders. Remember the first point. If you want to enter our family, you must listen to the head of the family and not disobey what I say. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to slap you a few more times." Evelyn heard her words and felt panic building in her chest. She felt as if she were about to vomit. What was this? Was the Cage family a monarchy? Was she relying on this ancient history to treat Harvey like she did? This hateful woman glared at Evelyn fiercely. Evelyn said, "Even if you kill me, I will not listen to you. You can forget about it if you want to control Harvey through me." Dolores said with a cold smile, "You had better be good and have a child. Otherwise, there will be a lot of things to entertain you." She lightly waved to the 2 guards and said, "Your punishment for disobeying me is that you must go to the corner and contemplate your actions, on your knees, for 5 hours." Evelyn was carried to the corner of the hall by the 2 goons. She stood there stubbornly. Evelyn did not kneel. They forced Evelyn to her knees. Her physical strength was no match for the 2 well-trained men. They held her there for 5 hours, and Evelyn's knees grew numb and eventually started to bleed. This was the first time Evelyn had knelt for so long. By the time 5 hours had passed, she was already drenched in sweat and had almost collapsed. Her body was not in good condition, and they forced her to do this. When they let her go, Evelyn fell to the ground. Dolores walked in at that time, fiddling with something in her hand. She looked down at her with contempt and said, "This is only the beginning. You went to New Orleans without permission and did not fulfill the duties of the CEO of the Cage Group's fiancé. You received a small punishment today. There are still many more things to be done. I will ask your fiancé for a month of training for you and let you learn how to behave in this family. Do you want to listen to me obediently now? As long as you conceive a boy within half a year, you will not have to suffer so much." Evelyn's face turned pale. She struggled to sit up and looked at her. "I will give birth to a girl if I like. You will not be able to get away with this kind of thing anymore." Evelyn knew very well that she and Harvey already had no respect for this woman. She was not the family he deserved, and Evelyn wished he would find happiness over all these crazy schemes. As long as she could, she would help him. "If you are pregnant with a girl, I will not let you give birth." Dolores leaned over and pinched her chin hard. "It is too easy to control whether a woman gives birth. You better behave yourself." Evelyn did not expect that she would say such things and immediately became even more disgusted with her. A feeling of wanting to vomit surged, and Evelyn forcefully waved her hand away and said in disgust, "With your kind of heart, you are not worthy of leading any family, let alone the Cage family." Evelyn propped herself up and stood up. She endured the pain in her legs and walked out. She would not stay here any longer. Harvey knew that she was coming back today. If she were late, Harvey would be worried. Episode 272. A Surprise for Evelyn. Dolores tightened her grip on her and said to Evelyn, "You can't escape my control. You will compromise sooner or later." Evelyn sneered, but did not say anything. Sooner or later? Stop fooling around. Evelyn would not compromise. She had nothing to lose, nothing she needed to protect. She was all alone. Did the old woman think that Evelyn could not maintain the most uncompromising attitude for the person she loved? Evelyn took a deep breath and walked ahead of the woman stubbornly. She wouldn't let Harvey worry about this and go looking for trouble with her. She could handle it herself. Evelyn threw up as soon as she walked out of the old residence. The feeling of disgust wouldn't stop, no matter how hard she tried. There were no cars around. Evelyn had been brought here, and now she didn't know how to go back. A car stopped beside her while she was aimlessly walking. Luke looked at her in surprise and said, "Evelyn, why are you here?" He said, "You were at the Cage Mansion?" Evelyn was also a bit shocked. She blinked her eyes and said, "What a coincidence, Luke. You're also here." As soon as Evelyn spoke, Luke noticed that something was wrong with her. Her face was swollen, and there was a spot of blood in the corner of her mouth. When he looked at her carefully, Luke noticed that there was also a scratch on her knee. Luke's heart raced, and he hurriedly got out of the car. Luke pulled her and said, "Evelyn, what happened? Who hurt you? Is it Harvey?" No. Harvey would never hit me," Evelyn quickly explained. Luke's expression did not change much because of her explanation. He still asked earnestly, "If not him, then who did it? Who injured you so badly? I will go and get even with them." Luke was furious. Who was the one who hurt her like this? "Luke, I'm fine. There's too much involved and I can't explain it all in a short time. I don't want to talk about it, so forget it. Evelyn did not plan to tell Luke about what had happened in the cage house. After all, she did not even plan to tell Harvey about this matter. However, Luke already knew what was going on. After thinking about it, he understood. Harvey and the matriarch of his family had always been at odds with each other. If Evelyn were Harvey's fiancée, the old woman would naturally look down on her. He did not expect that old woman to be so ruthless, actually daring to hurt her so brazenly. Luke looked at Evelyn with heartache. He knew that she did not want him to continue asking, so he had to say, "Okay, I won't ask, but you have to listen to me. Follow me to the hospital." Evelyn said to Luke several times, "I'm okay. We don't need to go to the hospital. I'll go home and apply some cream." Luke did not listen. He insisted on driving her to the hospital. She didn't know if he was going too fast, but Evelyn made him stop the car halfway as she felt uneasy. After vomiting, Evelyn panted and sat in the front passenger seat weakly. Luke turned his head to look at her. "Are you okay? Is your stomach upset?" Evelyn gave a faint smile and said faintly, "It's nothing. In the past few days, I seem to have eaten something bad. I'll be fine." Evelyn pulled her hair back behind her ear and continued to look out the window. Luke tightened his grip on the steering wheel. He didn't want to think about it, but could not stop his thoughts from wandering in that very direction. Luke looked at Evelyn with a heavy expression. He did not say anything, and his thin lips were tightly curled. Something serious gradually settled in his eyes. He accompanied Evelyn to the hospital, where they applied cold compresses on her face as she hugged her knees. "You're already at the hospital. Let the doctor examine you and see if your stomach is not good. Get some medicine." Evelyn thought about it and agreed. She went to check in, and 10 minutes later, Evelyn came out and kept rubbing her hands. Her face was slightly red. Luke pursed his lips when he saw her like that. He was extremely considerate and said, "Do you want to check something else? It's okay. I'll wait for you in the car, okay?" Evelyn nodded. Luke looked at her and held her in his arms. He gently caressed her hair and said, "Don't panic. You are now Harvey's fiancée. No matter what, you will be fine." Luke let go of her and turned to the parking lot. He felt suffocated. Although he already knew that she couldn't be a part of his life the way he wanted, he couldn't abandon her and not participate in her affairs. If only that lucky man was me, Luke thought. I'd take care of you and never let my family hurt you. I'd give you the perfect family, keep an eye on you, and if you had our child, I'd love you and our child. But the lucky one was never me. I tried to be a better man, hoping that I would be the perfect person when I stand next to you again. But why, when I'm standing next to you as a better man, you don't need me anymore? Evelyn watched Luke walk into the elevator in the hallway. She took a deep breath and sat down on a chair. Evelyn clenched her fists. She did not know what to do. The doctor who examined her asked her to do a pregnancy test and ultrasound. She was shocked. But now that she thought about it, she was extremely busy during this time. She couldn't care less about her physical condition. Her period had already been late for a long time. She had been too tired with other things and hadn't thought about it. Evelyn sat on the chair for a long time before mustering all her courage to do the examination. The answer she got in the end was not different from what she suspected. "Congratulations, you're pregnant," a nurse informed her. As she walked into the hospital corridor with the test sheet in her hand, Evelyn's head seemed to explode, and her ears were making a buzzing sound. "Your body is relatively weak, so you have to pay attention to your nutrition. The child needs you to be careful and help it grow." The doctor kindly reminded her as she was injured and that she needed to take care of herself. The words lingered in her ears. She had a child, and it was Harvey's. And she was not going to marry him. It was time to end everything. Evelyn wanted to find a place to rest and work hard toward her dream to be a designer. When she would stand on the highest stage, she wanted Mark to know she had made her dream come true. Their beautiful future would come true, and she would have him back. Mark would have seen it if she had been at the top globally. Now that she was pregnant, she couldn't work as hard as other designers. And most importantly, she had Harvey. She walked out of the hospital and over to the parking lot. When she walked to Luke's car, Evelyn looked pale. Luke looked at her and asked worriedly, "What happened?" Evelyn lowered her head, bit her lips, and whispered, "Luke, I'm pregnant." When Luke heard this, he felt a sharp stab of pain in his heart, but he still forced a smile. He comforted her. "Evelyn, this is a good thing. You and Harvey are already engaged. It will double the happiness if you're pregnant and married." Episode 273, The Child in Her Dream. Evelyn was breathing heavily. She did not know how to explain all of this to Luke, and she also felt that she could not talk about it clearly. She lifted the corner of her lip and smiled. Evelyn said, "I'm fine. I just found out so suddenly, and I was not mentally prepared. Please take me home." Luke nodded and said, "All right, I'll take you to your house." Harvey should still be by her side at a time like this. Evelyn did not say a single word on the drive. Luke did not know what to say, so he could only play music. When they arrived at Evelyn and Mark's house, Luke hesitated. He rolled down the window and said to Evelyn, "Evelyn, you can call me if you need any help. I will always be there for you, okay?" Evelyn looked at him and nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Luke." The two of them said their goodbyes. Evelyn entered and went upstairs to her room. She had not been home for a few days, and this place still looked the same. On the bedside table, the bank statement was still there. She took out her phone. After getting off the plane, she hadn't had the chance to switch it on yet. She was in a mess right now. She had no idea what to do. She was pregnant. Was the child going to be strong enough? Dolores was waiting for her to get pregnant. Evelyn was sure there would be another series of crazy antics by the old woman if she knew. If it were a girl, she had no doubt that woman would try to kill her. If it were a boy, Harvey might lose the company position he held. What kind of logic is this? Dad might lose the company he worked so hard to build because of his son. What kind of shameless logic? Evelyn did not know how long she had been lying on the bed. Because she was pregnant, it was very easy for her to grow tired. Her body was exhausted. And she fell asleep. Harvey called her a few times, but the phone was on vibrate. He was thinking of all the things that could have gone wrong. He saw that she had booked a plane ticket and repeatedly confirmed that she was back today. Because of the meeting, he did not pick her up at the airport. Concerns for her well-being troubled him. Where is she? What is she doing? Or is she not back? After thinking for a while, Harvey knew he had to find out. Harvey walked in through the front door that she hadn't locked earlier. He went upstairs and looked at Evelyn, who was deep in her sleep. He sighed slightly and felt relieved after all the things he had imagined. Evelyn, lying on the bed, asleep and unguarded. She had not even checked if the front door was locked. What if it wasn't him and it had been a bad guy? He walked to Evelyn's side and stretched out his hand to pull the blanket over her. Harvey gently stroked her hair and gently said, "Welcome back." His voice was as gentle as the spring wind, causing Evelyn's nervous body to relax completely. He took a chair and sat quietly beside her. Seeing her return, the heart hanging, beating erratically for the past few days, finally settled. Fortunately, she had come back as promised. Otherwise, Harvey would not be able to do what he was going to do next. The sun gradually set. Harvey turned on a lamp and picked up a book to read. Evelyn had a dream. In the dream, the little angel was wearing white clothes. He had a lovely smile on his face. He ran over and threw himself into her arms. He said to her, "Mommy, I will be by your side soon. Will you welcome me? Will you love me?" She looked at the cherubic little child. He had beautiful eyes and an adorable face. He looked very much like Harvey. Evelyn felt as if her heart was being tightly squeezed. She could not help but hug him. But after being embraced, He mischievously turned into a wisp of smoke and dissipated. Evelyn woke up and slowly opened her eyes. Evelyn saw the other person in the room sitting under the dim light. She recognized the familiar figure at a glance, so she was not afraid. Blinking her eyes, she realized it was already dark outside. She did not get up, but looked at Harvey and muttered, "When did you come in?"
"This afternoon. You were sleeping so soundly that I couldn't bear to wake you up."
"Are you reading a book? What are you reading?"
"It's not important,"
he replied, as he had just been passing the time. Harvey closed the book and moved closer to her side. He sat on the edge of the bed and gently stroked her hair. He asked gently,
"Are you hungry?"
Evelyn initially did not want to eat, but when she thought about the tiny life in her body, she finally nodded and said, "Yes, very hungry."
"What do you want to eat?"
"I have been feeling pretty weak recently. I want some soup," Evelyn said.
"Okay, I will get someone to make it. If I knew you would be hungry when you wake up, I would have summoned everyone here,"
Harvey said. The light shone on his back. Evelyn looked at him and suddenly said, "Harvey, do you still remember what you told me about the company being something you cannot part with?"
"Of course. The company is my blood and sweat. I will never let it go." "What's wrong?"
Harvey asked.
"Did that woman threaten you again?"
Evelyn shook her head and said with a gentle smile, "How is that possible? I am currently alone in the world. What can she threaten me with? Everyone else has something that they cannot part with." Harvey nodded and looked at her. He felt that she still had something hidden from him. Perhaps his grandmother was looking for trouble with her again, but Harvey did not ask her. He needed only a month at most to settle the matter in the Cage family. Just a month, and Evelyn wouldn't have to suffer anymore. She would be the family's matriarch when the time came, and everyone would listen to her. Harvey didn't want to say anything before he settled everything. He would tell Evelyn everything afterward. He turned and left the room and let out a breath.
"This is only temporary, Evelyn. I've wronged you, but soon you will be made whole again."
What Harvey didn't know was that Evelyn didn't care about being wronged. She didn't feel she needed things set right. It was just that now there were some things that she needed to figure out. Evelyn already understood what she had to do. When she was separated from Mark initially, she had to bear everything on her own. She decided that she did not have the right to be happy alone, and she could not marry Harvey. Now that she was pregnant, it was only natural that she would become the favored relative of the Cage family if she married Harvey. However, if anything happened to the child, Harvey would be destroyed. In any case, no matter what decision she made, she could not stay by Harvey's side in the end. Her situation would be like Mark's, getting the unhappy things she deserved. Episode 274, Harvey's Past. Evelyn knew that she had no right to be happy alone, so she had been given a merciful choice. And for the child, she would never be able to get rid of him, so she would accept him. She had money, and she could support a child by herself. "I'm sorry, Harvey. No matter how I think about it, I can't stay with you. I'm sorry. I can't be happy alone. I can't place my child in a dangerous place. And I can't let the child destroy the Cage group you've been protecting. So I have to go. It's time for me to leave." Taking a deep breath, Evelyn lifted the blanket and changed into a long dress to cover her wound. She opened the door and walked out. "I don't know if I should say I'm going to leave." Under the night sky, Harvey accompanied Evelyn to dinner. Evelyn said that she did not want to go back to her house. Harvey played an old movie, and they watched it together. Harvey poured 2 glasses of wine. Evelyn looked at him and shook her head. "I think I should drink some juice or water today."
"Okay."
Harvey did not force her. He turned around and got her some juice. They clinked glasses and chatted as they watched the movie. The movie they chose was The Legend of 1900. This time, the film had nothing to do with love. It was a long, slow movie that told the story of a genius pianist. Evelyn liked the part where he unlocked the piano and took the other character to play on the rocking boat in the storm. Evelyn could almost follow the sound of the piano as she gently shook her head and murmured, "A long time ago, I thought I'd become a violinist. At that time, my biggest dream was to stand on the world's stage and play my violin. Every time I played, I felt happy." Harvey looked at her and shook the whiskey in his hand.
"What about now? Did you want to be a fashion designer after everything that has happened? Would you rather be a violinist or a fashion designer now?"
Evelyn narrowed her eyes and smiled faintly. She gave a humorous answer. "I want to be a fashion designer who knows how to play the violin." Harvey was amused and said,
"Really? That's a good choice."
"What about you? What kind of dream did you have in the past?" Evelyn asked him as she curled up her legs.
"Dreams are one thing, and destiny is another," Harvey said. "I was destined to be the CEO of the Cage Group before I even had the chance to dream. You could also say that my childhood dream was to be the CEO."
Evelyn blinked and said, "Harvey, tell me about you. You never told me about your past." Harvey paused and tilted his head to look at her.
"Do you want to hear it? It might be a little heavy."
Evelyn nodded and said, "Yes, I want to hear it. I want to know about you." "I want to know everything about you, because I probably won't get another chance if I don't ask now." Harvey's heart started to beat faster. This was the first time he was going to talk about himself. She was the first person he wanted to talk to. He had promised her he would tell her all about himself. This time he mustered the courage. Even if Evelyn knew about him, she wouldn't leave him. She definitely wouldn't look down on him.
"My father was the previous CEO. You should know that there are a lot of rumors about my mother. Most of them are rumors about my mother being the mistress of the mafia figure she met abroad. Our family used this rumor to cover up a terrible truth. My mother was a maid that my father fell in love with when he was being treated abroad. My father was not in good health, so he took some time to live overseas. So my mother was chosen from her family to take care of my father. She was originally a maid, but my father fell in love with her at first sight. Before that time, my father had accepted the engagement arranged by his family. He was more comfortable with the current situation. Before meeting my mother, my father did not even think about fighting for himself. My grandmother controlled the Cage Group behind the scenes. When he met my mother, my father yearned for freedom. So he brought my mother back to the States and unilaterally announced the annulment of his engagement to the media, claiming that he had found true love. When my grandma found out, she was furious and felt that my father had disgraced the family. But she knew that my mother was pregnant, so she set a trap. She said my mother could marry my father, but she would hold the wedding after the child was born. My mother loved my father very much, so she agreed. But who would have thought it was just that old woman's scheme? After I was born, she asked my father to choose one of the two, CEO of the Cage Group or marriage to my mother. My father was a man obsessed with love, and he resolutely chose my mother. My grandmother had him kicked out of the position immediately, and my mother naturally left with him. The two of them started a new life elsewhere. At that time, I was still a baby and went with my parents. But when I turned 4 years old, I was forced to go to Grandma's side. I could only see my parents once a year. It was because of this that something happened to my parents. They tried to rush back from overseas to celebrate my birthday, and something terrible happened.
Evelyn's heart began to hurt. She finally understood how much Harvey blamed himself and how painful it was. The death of his parents was a scar on his heart that would never heal. Evelyn reached out her hand and gently held Harvey's hand. She wanted to pass her energy to him. Harvey held her hand back and smiled gently at her.
"I'm fine. It has been so long. I am fine. My life has changed completely since then. After my parents passed away, I gradually learned about them. I learned about the things that my parents lost because they were in love, the company, and the life we could have had together. My heart was in pain. If love is such a harmful thing, I didn't want it. When I think about my parents dying because of love, I want to walk a completely different path. I want to stand at the top of the world and live well.
Evelyn lowered her head and softly muttered, "So this is why you say you are Satan and that you will not love anyone. Because of the death of your parents, you no longer believe in love. You even resent this feeling for taking away your parents' lives."
Yes,
Harvey nodded.
for a long time, love was something I had no place for in my life.
Evelyn tightened her grip on his hand, bit her lower lip and said, "But it seems that your parents did not regret anything. They did not think that love killed them. They would definitely—"
"Yes, I know."
Harvey smiled gently and charmingly. He held her in his arms and said,
"I know everything since meeting you. Evelyn, you're the one who let me know how brave my parents were. Perhaps love is a poison, but when the two met, maybe the poison was as sweet as honey to them."
Episode 275, Towards a New Life.
I know at last that their love for each other had never been about their ignorance of the future,
Harvey said.
They knew what would happen to them and what price they would have to pay. Even after knowing, they still loved each other without hesitation. It wasn't stupid. It was just because they felt it was worth it. Like for you, I would accept the stupidity of love because you are the only person in my life who is worthy of me doing so.
The tightly held hand transmitted Harvey's feelings. Evelyn pursed her cherry lips and softly said, "Harvey, thank you for telling me about you." She had hoped that one day she would know about him. This man had finally opened his heart to her. She had waited for this day for a long time, and the day had finally arrived. She should be happy. But her heart was in great pain, because she knew that when the man finally opened up to her, she had lost the right to embrace him, to embrace happiness. In a person's life, one must fulfill one's responsibility. As long as she could not see Mark happy, as long as her existence threatened the person she loved, she had a reason to leave. Some people had to fight for love, and some had to be tolerant, but she had to let go. She did not know how Mark felt about the criminal activities he did, but she thought that Mark must have believed that it was something he had to do to protect her. And now she was facing the same situation. "Harvey, you are the CEO of the Cage Group. The position you are sitting in is something your father lost, and you have been working hard to achieve since you were young. Whether it was the Cage Group itself or the position of the CEO, they both had a special meaning for you. You can't lose them. So I'm sorry, I can't be your stumbling block." Harvey didn't know what she was thinking. When he saw her lower her head, he thought she felt sorry for him. He pulled her into his arms and gently stroked her hair. Harvey said, "Silly woman, don't be sad for me. Everything that happened to me is in the past. I have you now." The flaw in his heart, the scar that refused to heal, was now gradually healing. Evelyn felt her breath stop when Harvey hugged her. She couldn't drink, but she wanted to get drunk tonight. After getting drunk, she wouldn't need to think about anything anymore. She wouldn't need to remind herself that she couldn't immerse herself in Harvey's gentleness. She could hug him and say to him, "I'm here, and I'll always be here." However, she was not drunk. All of her was leaning against Harvey. She could not say anything. That night, Evelyn slept in Harvey's arms, although she did not sleep much. When she woke up in the middle of the night, she looked at Harvey's face and felt sadness loom over her. "I'm sorry, Harvey. I'm really sorry. I truly love you," Evelyn softly and sadly murmured to Harvey. Harvey did not hear her in his sleep. He slept very soundly because he knew his sweet love
was beside him.
The next day, Harvey and Evelyn had breakfast together. Harvey hesitated and said,
Evelyn, my grandmother wanted to invite you to accept some bride training. If it makes things difficult for you, I don't want you to go, and I can find an excuse. I wondered if you should go back and continue participating in the competition. That would give you an excuse. I don't want you to give up what you want to do.
Evelyn's hand holding the fork paused. She looked up at Harvey and opened her mouth. She wanted to say that she would not be able to go back to the competition, but she knew that it would be dangerous if that old woman took her in. Evelyn swallowed her words and changed her mind. Actually, I do want to go back to the competition for the next few days. I will talk to Luke again. Fortunately, the next part of the competition has not started yet. Harvey saw that she agreed readily, so he smiled and said, Okay, go tell him. If he doesn't agree, I will go find him. Evelyn smiled and did not say anything else. She lowered her head to eat, but had a lot of things on her mind. Luke's image appeared in her mind. He had said that he would help her at any time. She believed him. That was her old friend, and he would help her. Evelyn realized that all the leaves had turned yellow overnight when she saw Harvey out. It was really autumn. Evelyn muttered, standing in front of the door, The summer that belongs to us is ended. Harvey looked at her, grabbed her hand, and kissed her forehead.
Autumn belongs to us too. So does winter. It is all coming. I, who belong to you, will always be here.
His words were intoxicating, making Evelyn blush while her heart ached. You must go, or else you will be late for work. Evelyn gave him a push. Her heart was filled with grief. Harvey, you know what? The 4 seasons that belong to us may never come. After I leave you, you don't know how much you will hate me. You fell in love with someone for the first time, and that person is about to hurt you ruthlessly. I don't know if you'll marry someone else or cease to believe in love. I don't know. But I do hope you won't grieve over my departure. Harvey, I hope you will be happy. If someone else takes my place, I will be in pain, but I think I will be at peace. Don't be as lonely as Mark, Harvey. Even if I leave you, you still have to be the mighty CEO of the Cage Group, because that's why I'm leaving you. After Harvey left, Evelyn looked at her things and packed some simple luggage. Evelyn hid the stuff in the deepest part of the closet. She didn't have much to bring with her. Mark's savings were enough for her. Episode 276, Luke's Help. It doesn't matter. Maybe there will be a day when we can come back, Evelyn said softly as she reached down to touch her abdomen. Maybe she would come back here one day, because there was a connection between herself, Harvey, and Mark. Timothy couldn't get any closer to them, but they had promised each other their lives. There was also Cindy, who was once a good friend. After Evelyn cleaned up everything, she called Luke. Luke had always been there whenever Evelyn wanted to see him. The two of them met at the coffee shop. Luke ordered tea for her. As soon as Evelyn sat down, Luke observed her expression. He had been feeling uneasy these past few days. If Evelyn were pregnant, things would go much more smoothly between her and Harvey. There would be no place for him to get involved anymore. However, when he sent her home that day, he vaguely felt something was wrong. It was as if everything between Evelyn and Harvey was not as he thought. There was no doubt that Evelyn liked Harvey. He knew from the beginning that she was stubborn towards Harvey. But she had always been stubborn. But she did not look happy. When she learned of the child's existence, she seemed to have something on her mind. Luke's feelings when he came to see her today were very complicated. He was afraid that Evelyn would tell him that she would abort the child. He was even more fearful that he would not be able to give her a good answer to any questions she asked. Feeling a little uneasy, Luke opened his mouth first.
Evelyn, why did you ask me to meet?
Evelyn held the tea. It was already autumn, and the sky was starting to get cold. With her head down, Evelyn hesitated for a moment and said, Luke, I need to ask you for a favor. It may cause you some trouble, but I can't think of anyone else who can help me. There was no one else around. Luke's heart skipped a beat because this development was too similar to what he had imagined. He panicked a little for a moment. Given her tone, could it be that she wanted to discuss the matter of the child with him? He could not decide for her. It was hers and Harvey's child. He was panicking. But Luke let out a deep breath. He clenched his fists and planned to listen to her first. "Evelyn, if there's anything, say it." This was her most difficult moment, and she had no idea what to do. Luke could not escape as he had before. He no longer wanted to be a coward. Evelyn rubbed the cup with her hand and took a deep breath. She gathered her courage and said, "Luke, I want to leave this place and go overseas. Can you help me? I could have left by myself, but Harvey will find me. I don't want him to find me. I want to leave quietly." Luke was prepared to listen to her talk about the child, but he did not expect to hear this. He muttered in a daze, "You want to leave?" Evelyn nodded and said, "Yes, I want to leave this place. No, I have to leave this place." Luke was utterly dumbfounded. He didn't expect to hear this. How could this be? Luke thought of Mark's letter, and his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Mark had expected this day to come and only left a note for him? Luke held Evelyn's hand and said thoughtfully, "Evelyn, did Harvey do something to you? Did he bully you?" Evelyn realized that Luke misunderstood and hurriedly shook her head to explain. "No, Luke, you don't understand. Between Harvey and me, nothing happened. He has been very good to me. In the panic after his party, he pretended to be engaged with me. Then he proposed to me for real. Someone like him, down on one knee to propose to me, I was touched. I also know that he truly wants to marry me." Luke's heart tightened when he heard her say Harvey was good. Although he felt a little uncomfortable, he tried not to show it. He asked, "If that's the case, why do you want to leave?" If Harvey did not treat her well, he could understand. He would take her away without hesitation. But Harvey was the happiness she wanted. Harvey was good to her. She was pregnant with Harvey's child. But then why did she want to leave? Evelyn sighed. Her sadness was evident in her words. "Luke, I cannot be happy alone. There has been someone who has given too much for me to live well. I have never given him anything, but I told him to leave in disappointment. I can't stay with Harvey like this and enjoy comfort and pleasure. That would be very painful for me. Every day I would suffer happiness like a sinner." Luke looked at her, pursed his lips and said, "Is it because of Mark? I don't know what happened between you two, but I believe he wants you to be happy. Evelyn, you are not someone who can just leave like that. You are carrying Harvey's child. It's your destiny to be with him." Evelyn bitterly shook her head. "No, because of the child, I know that I need to leave him and not harm him." Luke looked at Evelyn's bitter expression and held his breath. He fell silent for a few seconds, and those few seconds were as long as a century. Then Luke shook his head and said softly, "Evelyn, I don't understand. I thought your happiness was only a foot away from you. And though I could not participate, it was the happiness you wanted. Even though I was in pain, I still accepted your choice. But now you're telling me that you can't be happy like this, that you will leave someone you love. Why? I don't understand, Evelyn. I don't." Evelyn looked up at him, her eyes full of sadness. "Luke, I can't explain it to you clearly, but this is the only thing I can do for him now. I want to go with the child to a place where no one knows me. I don't want him to find me." Then, after the baby was born, she would think about what to do next. She did not know if she would continue to bear all that she had to deal with, or be able to let go of her self-blame and the guilt of being alone and happy and come back to him. All she knew was that now was the time to leave. Luke looked at her, took a deep breath, and asked Evelyn seriously,
Evelyn, I don't know what happened to you, but I want to say that even if you don't leave, I can help you with other things. If you have any difficulties, you can tell me. Even if I have to go through a ton of trouble, I will not hesitate to do anything to help you, as long as you ask for it. I will do whatever you wish and help you.
He wanted to hold her back. If she encountered any other trouble, he would have informed Harvey. However, since she was determined to leave, he couldn't tell Harvey anything. He would have to protect her. No matter what, as long as she said she wanted to do it, he would not hesitate to help her. Evelyn held Luke's hand and sincerely said, "Thank you. I know that no matter what requests I make, you will help me. A kind friend like you will always stand on my side. But now I have to walk this path alone." Episode 277, Plans for Birthday. Evelyn knew that Luke would help her, but he was an outsider. Even if she told him the truth, Luke would not be able to help because it was Harvey's family matter. Luke saw that Evelyn was determined and sighed slightly. He nodded and said,
All right, I understand. I will make arrangements. How about Ireland? That place is tranquil, very suitable for you and the child to be born.
Evelyn nodded gratefully and said, "Thank you."
No need to thank me. You know I will help you no matter what.
Luke sighed and asked,
When do you want to leave?
Evelyn was silent and mumbled, "I will leave this week. Before that, I still have some things to do." Luke blinked his brown eyes and looked as if he knew what she was talking about. He said,
Do you want to spend the day with him?
Evelyn nodded. It was almost her birthday. She wanted to spend this birthday with Harvey. Mark had been with her every birthday, and this might be the last time someone who loved her would be with her. She might have a long life ahead of her, but she might never meet another man as affectionate as Mark or Harvey. After leaving Luke in the coffee shop, Evelyn called Harvey and asked him to have dinner with her. She wanted to cherish every second she spent with Harvey, because there wasn't much time left. She would not tell him why she was leaving, because he would search the world for her if he knew. She did not want that. The way Harvey was, unless she ran away from the marriage, she wouldn't be able to keep him from looking for her. She wouldn't be able to lie to him with any other reason. She wanted to forget everything now and live alone for the rest of her days. Before that, she wanted to see Timothy and Cindy for the last time. She did not know when she might come back after leaving the city. This would probably be the last time she would see them. Evelyn bought flowers and called Cindy. She then went to her house. She had heard that Cindy was dating Dr. Larson, and she was happy for her. After the incident with Timothy, the two of them could no longer be as close as before. However, the friends would always worry about each other. Putting down the flowers, Evelyn sat down at Cindy's house and drank a cup of tea. They chatted about everything and just caught up. Cindy held her hand and offered her blessing. "Evelyn, I have done foolish things in the past. I hope you don't blame me. Now I sincerely wish you and Harvey happiness." Evelyn nodded gently and said with a smile, "Thank you. You also have to be happy. If you get along well with Dr. Larson, then make a decision. If you meet someone in your life who loves you, everything will work out for you together." "I'm not in a hurry," Cindy said shyly. Timothy came home from work and saw Evelyn. Evelyn looked up at him and smiled. "Hello." Timothy's heart suddenly pounded hard in his chest. "Hello." The two of them spoke for a little while, and Evelyn felt at ease. It was good to see him well. Timothy and Cindy walked her to the door when she was about to leave. After hesitating for a moment, Timothy said, I heard that you and the CEO of Cage Group are engaged, although you are my sister's friend, and it is a little strange for me to give you my blessing. I still wish you happiness." Evelyn looked at him and smiled gently. "Thank you for your blessing, and thank you for showing up in my life, loving me so deeply, and for everything you've done for me." Turning around, Evelyn left. Cindy and Timothy watched her go. Cindy muttered, "I keep feeling that she's leaving us this time. Are you in pain?" Timothy reached out his hand and gently stroked her hair.
"It hurts. Evelyn is the girl I loved the most for a long time. She's getting married. Of course it hurts. But I can't stop her. This time she is leaving us. From now on, we will never be able to cross paths again."
"We have to let her go," Cindy smiled bitterly.
"Yes, we have to let her go,"
Timothy said softly. Harvey was sitting in his office going through the documents Zach had brought. Suddenly he said,
"Zach, help me free up the next 3 days on my schedule. I'll not be in the office for the time being. I'll leave the day-to-day work to you."
Zach gave him a strange look and asked hesitantly, "Sir, is there something important you need to take care of? Why don't I know what special arrangements you have for the day after tomorrow?" Harvey smiled mysteriously.
"Of course you wouldn't know. It's a huge matter that concerns my life."
Zach immediately understood what was going on. He said,
"Okay, I already know. Don't worry, sir. I will help you clear your calendar for tomorrow and the day after. You can leave company matters to me."
To Harvey, the only thing that concerned his life now was Evelyn. Although she had rejected his proposal last time, nothing changed. The people outside still felt that the CEO was getting married, and he himself looked determined to get married. He had no plans to give up. This time, he might be preparing for another proposal, or it might be related to Miss Petal's birthday, Zach thought. In any case, he did not need to ask too much. Indeed, the day after tomorrow was an important day for Harvey. It was Evelyn's first day with him. He had to give her a good time. He wanted to give Evelyn a special birthday a long time ago. He had planned to bring her to a hotel and have a good time there. He had heard Evelyn say that she wanted to go to Virginia, but Cage Mansion was constantly putting pressure on her because of the wedding date. Recently, his actions had become more deliberate. Even if he was not in the office, he could not leave New York and needed to avoid new issues, so he had to spend this birthday with Evelyn in the city. Although it was a bit unsatisfactory, it did not affect his preparation for her. Harvey had thought about it. Maybe Evelyn would still not be able to get out of Mark's shadow for a while. That kid had caused a lot of trouble. But Evelyn was soft-hearted and loved him. He could half coax and half lie to her. Harvey had to treat her well and melt her heart. When the time was right, he would block the media and take her to get married at the courthouse. He would not even force her to live in his house, but allow her to live anywhere she chose. If that was the case, Evelyn had no reason to reject him. After this, he would slowly improve. It was not a big deal if they did not live together. He would think of a way to spend the night with her in any case. She was already married to Harvey in his mind, so it didn't matter if they had a wedding or not. He was Harvey Cage. Who would dare to take away his wife? Episode 278, Fleeting Moments of Happiness. Harvey had planned everything ahead of time. His ultimate goal was to make her his wife, so he was not taking any risks.
"I didn't expect that I would think so much."
Harvey smiled self-deprecatingly, and the corner of his lips curled up into a smile that he couldn't stop. Before he met Evelyn, he did not believe in love and did not want to have children. Thinking of his childhood, he'd rather not have a child. But now he wanted a child with this woman. He could have a child now, and he was beginning to sweep away everything that hindered his happiness. Those strict and ancient rules of the Cage family, that terrible woman he called grandmother. He would settle everything and give Evelyn happiness. Then the two of them would have children and live happily. A boy had to be more like himself to inherit the family business in the future. A girl would be as pretty and cute as Evelyn. He would treat her like a princess. Thinking about it this way, giving birth to one wouldn't do. Harvey hoped for two. a boy and a girl. The more Harvey thought about it, the more he felt that the future was bright. He didn't notice the dark clouds in the sky. He did not realize that, although his heart was filled with love, some things were out of his control. He was immersed in the happiness of his dreams, and she was trapped by the sorrow of impending separation. However, these were all concealed when the two of them met. When they were having dinner together at night, Harvey mentioned that he had given himself 3 days off. He asked,
Evelyn, your birthday is the day after tomorrow. Where do you want to spend it?
Evelyn took a bite of her steak and had thought about this question a long time ago. If you have the time, I want us to go to the beach. We can go to the house we stayed last time. We don't need any house helps. We will drive ourselves to buy groceries and stay for 3 days without worries. Okay? The best life she wanted was with someone she loved, and now she had just 3 days to live that life. She wanted to live with Harvey and try to make memories to take with her. Harvey gently raised his thin lips and said,
Okay, we will do as you say. I will have it arranged tonight. I will have the staff clean up and then give them all their time off. We will go there tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Okay?
Evelyn nodded obediently. All right. At night, Harvey took Evelyn home. After Evelyn watched him leave, she drove to Luke's house. Luke opened the door and called her in. After pouring her tea, he placed a passport and a new identity in front of her.
This can help you leave this place quietly. I'll book a ticket for you when you leave.
Evelyn took a deep breath and said, I can't stay here for too long. Luke, I will leave 3 days later. Luke looked at her and pursed his lips.
Do you have to leave in such a hurry?
Evelyn picked up her new identity and said with a bitter smile, I have to leave as soon as possible. I am afraid that if I continue to stay like this, I will not be able to bear to leave. If this continued, she would only become more greedy. Harvey's gentle care and love would make her even more unwilling to leave. She had made up her mind before she started having second thoughts. She would leave. That would be the least painful and best outcome. It was already too late not to leave. After taking the items, Evelyn left Luke's house. Luke looked at her back and fell into deep thought. Was he going to let her go like this? She was still pregnant. Harvey was familiar with the seaside holidays. Every winter, he would relax on his private island. All holidays by the beach had long lost their novelty, and this was not a remote island, but only a private house and beach. However, even though everything seemed ordinary, it was filled with an unprecedented novelty to him. Harvey saw the 3 days of a beach vacation with Evelyn as a pre-wedding experience. Everything seemed so beautiful that he couldn't believe it was really happening. He felt an excitement that he had never experienced before. It was a feeling of happiness that lingered in his heart. Harvey drove Evelyn to the house. It was hard to tell how he was feeling. The gifts he had prepared for her had been placed there a day ago. The clothes were laid out. The two of them only took a small amount of luggage. He parked just inside the gate.
I didn't ask anyone to prepare any food. Didn't you say you wanted to go to the supermarket to buy your food? We'll go together later.
Harvey took Evelyn down the drive. Evelyn's gaze fell on the seagrass and flowers in the courtyard. They were lovely. One look and she could tell that they had been planted recently. She did not see them the last time she came here. Evelyn raised her head to look at him. Why bother with this? We only came to stay for 3 days. Harvey ran a hand down her hair, which the sea breeze had messed up. He moved his hand and intimately hooked her nose.
What do you mean by just staying here for 3 days? In these 3 days, you will be reborn. And this is our home now. Of course we have to prepare it properly.
Evelyn blushed and lowered her head, not saying anything. Harvey pulled her in. This time he took her around and looked at his watch.
It's getting late. Let's go to the supermarket.
The two of them went to the supermarket together like an ordinary couple. After Evelyn asked him what he wanted to eat, she started to choose the ingredients. She had always been passionate about cooking since she was young. Cooking could let her experience the warmth of a family. Evelyn was especially serious when picking up the ingredients. Harvey walked beside her, and he had no idea how to choose items. He did not look at the price and threw them in whenever he felt like it. Evelyn complained a few times. "You can't manage a household. This meat is frozen. It's expensive and not fresh. You can't take it." Evelyn took out the things Harvey had thrown in. Harvey did not get angry because of this. Instead, he smiled and said, "I am not a homemaker. I am only responsible for making money for my future wife. I still have to rely on my wife to do things at home." Evelyn's face turned red. She glared at him but did not answer him. She curled her lips. "You should stand by the side and not move anything. I don't want to use your money." Evelyn turned around and continued to pick. There were many people in the supermarket, and there were several young couples. Harvey glanced at them and saw that the wives held their husbands by one hand and picked things with the other. Harvey frowned and looked at the little woman beside him, concentrating on picking things up. A woman beside her squeezed in to pick something up and bumped into her. Evelyn's body swayed. Harvey quickly reached out and wrapped his arms around her waist. "You're so little. It is not safe to leave you on your own to pick the items. I will hold you like this so you can choose." Evelyn glanced at his hand at her waist. Many gazes gathered around her, and Evelyn felt shy. "I'll be fine. Let go of me." "No. What do you want? I'll get it for you." Harvey raised his eyebrows stubbornly. "No need. I can do it myself," Evelyn said. When Harvey heard that, he raised his eyebrows and picked her up. It was as if he was carrying a doll. Episode 279, Preparations. Harvey was insistent on not putting Evelyn down. "If I hold you, you'll be safe and won't be knocked down by others." Evelyn's face turned red. She seemed to be able to hear the teasing voices of those around her. "Their relationship is so good, and the lad is so strong, and aw, how sweet." Evelyn completely lost to Harvey. She begged in a low voice, "Okay, just hold me next to you. Could you put me down? There are so many people watching." Harvey put her down and continued to hold her waist. He leaned over and said, "Let them see. It's nothing." Evelyn bit her lip and was rendered speechless by him. Harvey couldn't understand what she was embarrassed about. They weren't the only ones who were displaying their love. Many people were showing their affection in this place. The surrounding people whispered about this handsome man and his beautiful woman. The crowd was getting bigger and bigger, and Evelyn's face grew redder. She couldn't argue with Harvey anymore, so she quickly picked up what she wanted and walked away with her head lowered. Evelyn was so embarrassed that she left the supermarket. Harvey carried the things to the car and said, "I think we should go shopping again. It's quite interesting." Evelyn stared at him. "You are crazy. You caused us to be surrounded by a mob." Harvey smiled at her from the other side of the car. "What happened? Did I embarrass you?" Evelyn held her breath, almost exasperated by his smile. Embarrassing? How could that be? She wanted to hold her head up and not let herself be embarrassed. And yet, embarrassed she was. "You are too handsome," she said helplessly. She opened the door of the passenger seat and slid in. This was the truth. They would always be surrounded because Harvey was too handsome and did not realize it. As soon as Evelyn got into the car, Harvey got into the driver's seat. Without waiting for Evelyn to fasten her seatbelt, Harvey suddenly moved over and kissed her lips. Evelyn's pupils contracted, and she struggled instinctively. Harvey pressed her hand down and deepened the kiss. After a long kiss, Evelyn's lips were slightly swollen. Evelyn frowned, and her voice was a bit hoarse. Why did you suddenly kiss me?" Harvey curled his lips devilishly. "I want you to know that although I am very handsome, my eyes only look at you." Some people said that men and women were different. Once a woman fell in love, she would become stupid. Even if she were wise, she would not be able to see through a man's lies. Even if she had a glib tongue, she would not speak because she liked someone. However, men were different. Once a man fell in love, he would become romantic. Even if he were once like ice, he would become passionate about love. Even if his lips used to spit out cruel words, he would become like honey to the person he loved. Evelyn believed it was true. At that moment, Harvey was sitting next to her with the most charming grin on his face. All for her. Only for her. In front of others, he might still be the callous Harvey Cage, but to her, he was simply a man who adored her. Evelyn started to feel afraid again. She was worried that she would not be able to control herself. She could not help but be addicted to his gentleness and his romance. Blinking her eyes, she muttered softly, "What flowery words." Harvey raised his eyebrows, fastened her seatbelt, and said, "Only you can hear such flowery words. People outside aren't that fortunate. Even if you were to tell them, they wouldn't believe you." Harvey drove her back to the house. They spent the day in the house, unwilling to part, like real newlyweds. She was cooking in the lace apron he had picked out, and he was holding her from behind, enjoying the temptation of this woman. After dinner, Harvey held Evelyn's hand and walked outside. It was already autumn. Harvey put a shawl on Evelyn and stepped on the leaves. Evelyn murmured, "Ooh, it's getting cold." Harvey held her hand and said, "Yes, you like summer, right? Are you afraid of the cold?" "A little. My blood is a little cold. My feet will be icy." "If that's the case, let's go to the island during winter. The island is like spring all year round," Harvey said. "The two of us will live in peace there. There will be no cold, no worries, and we will have a happy winter. The spring will be warm when we come back, and the flowers will bloom." Evelyn listened to his narration, and an image of the scene formed in her mind. She could not help but laugh. "But it will be a bit lonely for just the two of us living there. Let's have some pets. I like cats and dogs." "Then let's raise a few cats and a dog." The two of them strolled through the night with the moonlight shining brightly. They talked about the future, as if it was going to happen. But Evelyn knew in her heart that it was just a beautiful dream. Nothing will happen. When it was time to go back to the house, Harvey got close to her. Evelyn hugged him awkwardly and said, "It hasn't been easy for me these last few days." Harvey did not understand at first, but he felt a little regretful when he returned to his senses. Before he came, he did not think it would take this step to deepen his relationship. But Harvey became even more gentle when he became aware of Evelyn's psychological state. He stroked her hair and said, "I will only hug you to sleep tonight." Evelyn shook her head. "I'm fine." That was a lie. So Evelyn didn't say anything else. The peaceful days passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already Evelyn's birthday, which was also the last day they were to stay at the beach. Harvey originally wanted to bring her out to play during the day, but the weather was stormy. Harvey kept her company until the phone rang in the evening. Harvey went to pick it up and came back to Evelyn. "Wait for me here for an hour. I have to do something outside." Evelyn nodded and said gently, "No worries." Harvey nodded and turned to leave. After he left, Evelyn thought for a while on the bed. She got up and called Luke. Luke asked again, "Evelyn, have you decided? No matter what, if you are pregnant, there will be many inconveniences in your life." Evelyn knew that he wanted to make her stay. She bit her lip and said, "I've already decided. Luke, don't worry. I have a lot of savings. When the time comes, I will hire a nice maid to take care of me and ensure I get the best medical care. It will be fine." He remained silent when he heard this and said, "All right, Evelyn. I will support you. I will help you no matter what you want to do." After Luke finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Evelyn was startled, but she still felt grateful for him. "Thank you. With you here, I won't be so worried. I can even spend my last days with Harvey and say goodbye to him," Evelyn thought. Taking a small folded piece of paper from her pocket, Evelyn took a deep breath and went downstairs to the decanter to add the medicine to the wine. She then turned around and went upstairs. Harvey was ordering people to set up fireworks on the other side of the yard when Zach came over and said, "Sir, it will rain at night." Episode 280, One Last Kiss. Harvey pondered and said to Zach, "The pavilion in the back garden needs to be properly decorated. If it rains, it's better to stay there. Bring all the roses to that location." "Yes, sir," Zach said. An hour later, everything was ready. There was a knock on the door. Evelyn sat up and saw Harvey walk in. Evelyn smiled gently. "Are you done?" "I am done with my work. Can I ask you to change your clothes, beautiful lady?" Harvey winked at her. Evelyn looked over and saw that something outside was different. Evelyn couldn't help but laugh. "What kind of tricks are you playing now? I feel very happy just having you with me. Why are you still doing this?" "This is a birthday party prepared by a man for the woman he loves. Can you not say anything and dress up?" Harvey asked, pretending to be serious. Evelyn was helpless. She lifted the blanket and got out of bed. She followed him to another room. She changed her clothes and put on makeup. She was wearing a beautiful red dress and shoes embedded with crystals. When Evelyn came out of the room, she saw Harvey wearing a stunning tuxedo. He bowed to her in a gentlemanly manner. "Beautiful lady, please follow me." Evelyn took his arm and walked downstairs step by step. There was no applause, no accompaniment, and no guests. But Evelyn still felt that this birthday was very posh indeed. On this birthday, it was because he was there that she could bear the pain of everyone else leaving her. Holding Evelyn's hand, Harvey took her to the beach. Many small sailing boats were floating in the sea. They were connected. As the fireworks blossomed in the sky, a slight movement happened. Harvey took out a box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a familiar, yet unfamiliar gift. Evelyn blinked her eyes. Harvey smiled and said, "It looks familiar, doesn't it? This is very similar to the gift I gave you last time, but we had a difficult time. You didn't take the gifts, so I found someone to make another one. This time, you won't refuse it." Evelyn looked at the crystal shell with a platinum border and a beautiful necklace with diamonds in it. This time, she did not refuse. She dragged her hair and asked, "Can you help me put it on?" "Of course," Harvey said. He put the necklace on her neck and touched her collarbone. "If only I had liked you and treated you this way from the beginning. How nice would that have been? But I don't think it's too late. I'll be twice as good to you and make you the happiest woman in the world." Evelyn grabbed his hand, raised her head and said, "Harvey, I am already very content." Harvey leaned over and kissed her lips lightly. "It will rain tonight. Let's go to the next place," Harvey said, holding her hand. Evelyn was stunned and tilted her head. "Where else do I have to go?" Harvey smiled. "Romance doesn't mean you can't eat. Let's eat now." Evelyn nodded. The two of them had dinner together. Because Evelyn had said that she was on her period, she did not drink alcohol. Only Harvey drank alcohol. As she watched him drink the red wine, Evelyn's heart ached, and she lowered her head, unable to look at him. "Harvey, you will hate me." After dinner, it started raining. Harvey wiped his lower lip and looked at the sky. Suddenly, he said, "All right, the night's main event has begun." Evelyn was stunned. "What do you mean? It's raining outside." Harvey held her hand and said, "Come with me." He pulled Evelyn to the back door. Harvey pushed open the door, and the long corridor was right in front of him. Countless starry lights flashed and extended to the rose garden. Roses surrounded them. Harvey leaned over and whispered, "I especially picked the roses in April for you and gave them to you, my most fragrant one. For my painstaking effort, will you dance with me?" Evelyn's heart trembled. She tried her best to hold back her tears and nodded. Harvey was in a jubilant mood. He held her hand and walked through the gorgeous lights and flowers. He led her to the pavilion in the garden. The music started slowly. The rain fell on the surrounding ponds. The lights changed. Evelyn's small eyes connected deeply with Harvey's handsome face. He smiled and said, "Beautiful." For the rest of her life, perhaps she would never be able to see this warm smile. The music did not stop. The rain did not cease, as if everything would continue. When the third song ended, Harvey suddenly put a ring on her fingertips and leaned in front of her. He whispered,
"Evelyn, happy birthday. Thank you for coming into my world. I thank God for giving you to me, and I love you."
Evelyn's heart was almost unable to bear the burden. She was so sad that she was about to explode. "I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. But I really can't stay with you. My life is a complicated mess, and I have no choice but to leave you. But believe me, my heart only belongs to you. No matter where I go, my heart will always belong to you." Evelyn, who couldn't say a word, was kissed by Harvey. He kissed her and felt intoxicated. He didn't know if it was because of the wine he drank or her beauty. He only knew that he was about to pass out. Evelyn helped Harvey back to the room. By then, he had fallen completely asleep, but he still held Evelyn's hand and called her name. Evelyn finally did not need to hide her emotions anymore. Tears fell from her eyes and she bent over. Evelyn kissed his lips. "Harvey, I'm sorry. I love you, but I have to go. I can't be happy here, and I can't let you be destroyed by your family. Don't worry, I will raise our child alone. Maybe when I come back, you will have found another lover. I may feel pain in my heart then, but I will give you my blessings if you are happy. You have already given me enough, and you still want to marry me. I am already content to have you like this for the rest of my life." She leaned over and hugged Harvey. Her tears wet his tuxedo. She felt sad and could not immediately leave him. She realized that she was not that strong. She wanted him to protect her love. But that won't do. She had to do this for him. Leaving him was for his good. She lay on Harvey's chest for an unknown period. It was not until the rain stopped and the outside of the window was already misty that Evelyn finally rearranged the blanket for Harvey and put an envelope on the bed. Evelyn endured the pain in her heart and finally kissed Harvey one last time before turning around and reluctantly leaving. Outside the front door, Luke's car was already waiting. Evelyn got into the car and took a deep breath. "Thank you for picking me up. Let's go." Episode 281, A Devastated Harvey. Luke looked at Evelyn and drove without saying anything. Since she had already decided to leave, he could no longer persuade her to stay. He drove Evelyn to the airport. He had already taken the luggage for her. When they arrived at the airport, Luke looked at her and said, "Someone will pick you up when you get there. The accommodations have already been arranged." Evelyn nodded and looked at him. She extended her arms to hug him and said, "Thank you for everything you've done for me. It is good to have been with you on this journey, but I hope you find happiness soon." Luke knew that this was a hug that allowed him to be free. He hugged her greedily, and his tone was as always gentle. "Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll find my happiness. You have to be well, understand?" "Okay, I know. I'll be fine. Don't worry, I won't hurt myself, and I won't hurt my child," Evelyn promised gently. She took one last look at the airport in New York City and boarded the plane. This was what Luke had arranged for her with a fake identity. Harvey would not be able to find her. She's going to start a new life in Ireland. Goodbye, New York, the people who once loved me, and I, in turn, adored them. After the plane took off, Luke looked into the sky and muttered, "It wasn't easy to find you. Evelyn, I really can't bear to let you go like this." He turned around, thought of something, and left. When Harvey woke up, the afterglow of the setting sun was scattered on the bed. He looked outside and covered his aching head. He had no idea what day it was. It was Evelyn's birthday. Had it passed? Or had it? What day was this? Harvey shook his head. He thought about it for a while before remembering that he had drunk some wine and danced with Evelyn. Seriously, I didn't know I had such a bad alcohol tolerance. It must be because I'm drunk, Harvey said. He got off the bed and thought to himself, why didn't the woman wake me up? Harvey walked out barefoot. He shouted at the empty living room, "Evelyn, where are you?" No one replied. Harvey naturally thought she was in the kitchen and walked to that room. However, the room where he would usually find her was empty. No one was there. Harvey was puzzled. Then he went to another room to search. "Evelyn, are you hiding?" There was no response. Harvey searched the whole house, but there was no one else there. He still was sure that Evelyn was nearby and wondered if she had gone to the beach. He took out his phone and called Evelyn. The cold female voice said, "Sorry, the number you dialed is no longer in service." Until now, Harvey thought Evelyn was right beside him. Yes, she should have been with him. Where could she have gone? Damn it! It's not April Fool's Day. Was this a joke? Harvey finally realized that something was wrong. He hurried back to his room to change his clothes and find someone. He had a bad feeling about this. He felt he had lost her, but he didn't want to admit it. Impossible! How could he lose her? Harvey walked to the bedside. This time, he caught a glimpse of Evelyn's letter. Harvey's heart skipped a beat. He stopped putting on his clothes, picked up the letter, and opened it. It was in Evelyn's familiar handwriting. "Harvey, when you see this letter, I would have already left. Please don't look for me. You won't find me. I have made sufficient preparations to go quietly like this. I'm sorry. I know that you will be angry that I'm leaving without saying goodbye. I have to do this. I'm sorry. I have thought for a long time. Between you and Mark, my final choice is still Mark. He has given up too much for me. I can't leave him alone. Thank you for your company during this time. You have given me good memories, but I can't marry you or live with you. I will leave and try to find Mark. I know I am being cruel to you. It would be best if you didn't worry about me anymore. Goodbye, Evelyn." In a letter without any emotion, she told him that she had finally abandoned him and gone to Mark. In the end, you still chose him. Harvey punched the bedside table hard. The indescribable pain and anger in his heart almost drowned him. He found it hard to believe that this was the woman's choice. Harvey thought of Mark. The man had said that Evelyn would choose him. Thinking about it made him want to give Mark a good beating. Everything seemed like a nightmare. The person who lived and trusted him for the first time left him and went to another man. Harvey sat on the floor with the letter in his hand. On that day, he lost the person he had vowed his love to, and lost all the beauty in his world. This was the first time he wanted to believe in love. But that woman destroyed it. Harvey did not look for Evelyn. He stayed in the room for 2 days without eating or sleeping. On the third day, Zach found the thoroughly dispirited Harvey. Zach couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Harvey's face. "Sir, what's wrong?" Zach asked in surprise. Harvey stood up and said in a hoarse voice, "There will be a reception in 3 days."
I want to announce that my fiancée, Evelyn, has gone abroad to study. Our wedding date will be postponed."
Zach was stunned. He wanted to ask something, but he swallowed his words when he saw Harvey like this. Zach did not ask any more questions. He leaned over and said,
"Okay, I will go and make sure everyone is informed. Sir, are you okay?"
Harvey closed his eyes and said coldly,
"I'm fine. I'm fine."
He had thought about everything over the past 2 days. "Evelyn, you went to find him and wanted to live a happy life with him? I will find you and imprison you to me," Harvey thought. "You will still be my fiancé, but I will no longer give you my love. You will have to pay me back what you owe me 10-fold, 100-fold. I will never set you free. You will have to suffer every day by my side until the hatred in my heart dissipates." Harvey got up and went to the bathroom. Harvey would not let go. In his dictionary, there was no such thing as giving up. Whoever owed him would have to pay him. At that moment, Evelyn had just settled down in her new home and sat on the bed. Evelyn lovingly stroked her belly. "Baby, from now on, only you and Mommy will depend on each other. Please come out healthy. You're Mommy's only family in the world now. When you come, I won't be as lonely as I am now." Overnight, the media was flooded with news about Harvey Cage's fiancée studying overseas. "The CEO of Cage Group's wedding date has been postponed. His fiancée is studying overseas."
"My fiancée is studying overseas," CEO Harvey Cage said. "It's my duty to support my fiancée in her dreams, and I will wait for her."
Episode 282, Sweeping Away All Hurdles. There was countless gossip in the city every day, and the talk about Harvey Cage, the CEO of the Cage Group, had caught the public's attention. Not long after the announcement, the news of Harvey's fiancée studying overseas swept through the headlines of all the major newspapers. For a while, people discussed it animatedly. Luke put down the newspaper in his office and muttered, "It seems like he did not let go of her." In the beginning, when he sent Evelyn off, Luke had already been certain that Harvey would search for Evelyn without restraint. He had already made sufficient preparations and planned to hide the truth from him. However, everything happened unexpectedly. 2 days passed, and Harvey did not take any action. He was very calm. Luke thought that perhaps he had decided to let Evelyn go. That proud man was utterly disappointed and did not want to pursue her anymore. Luke was relieved, but he did not expect Harvey to make such an unexpected move. He wasn't sure if he was doing all this for the Cage family or Evelyn, but Luke was convinced that Harvey and Evelyn would have an inextricable relationship if he didn't break the engagement. It was inevitable that there would be a connection between them. He had been thinking about it for a long time. He had been very hesitant before. But when he read this newspaper, Luke felt that he had no choice but to take action. This was the only chance for him to be happy. He could get close to Evelyn now, and he was the only one who could stay with her. If he could stay with her, perhaps she would open her heart to him. He had to seize this opportunity. Like Evelyn had said, it was time for him to find his happiness. Wasn't her happiness just as important? Luke thought for a moment and called in his secretary. He immediately shifted his calendar around to be out of his office. At the Cage Group, there was mayhem. Harvey took only 3 days to clean up the Cage Group, catching Dolores off guard. That morning, he issued another news release. Dolores couldn't take it anymore and started quarreling in the office. "Into what kind of abyss are you trying to push us? You are simply a devil. Where is that woman? If you can't get married immediately, she will never be able to marry into our family." Harvey looked at her coldly. There was no emotion in his eyes. Evelyn left him with a pair of eyes that were thoroughly void of gentleness. They had become even colder and more ruthless than before. Harvey opened his thin lips and said coldly, "These matters are no longer yours to decide. You are no longer the head of the Cage family. As of now, you are with no power. You no longer control me or anything else." Dolores widened her eyes and took a step back. "What did you say? This is impossible."
"Nothing is impossible. With the support of all the relatives of the Cage family, I have become the head of the family. As for your so-called allies, they have already departed. There is nothing you can do with the shares remaining in your hands. Grandmother, this is my era now,"
Harvey said coldly. "You dare! You dare to force your elders! You vile creature!" Dolores couldn't believe that she had lost her authority overnight, and her entire body was trembling with anger. Harvey stood up and adjusted his tie. He told Zach calmly,
"Grandma is not in good health. Send someone to take her to the resort island. Let her enjoy her retirement there. Also, the rules of the Cage family have to be changed. The family meeting will be held the night after tomorrow. It's time for Raquel to come home."
After Harvey finished speaking, he walked out. Dolores was so angry that her blood pressure soared. She raised her hand to hit Harvey. This time, Harvey lightly dodged to the side. She missed and fell to the ground. This was the first time she had ever been in such a sorry state before Harvey. She shouted that he was an evil creature, but Harvey had long stopped listening to her. When he walked out, the sun was shining brightly outside. He had won a great victory. From now on, the Cage group was his, and the family was also his to command. Those annoying rules, he wanted to destroy them all. There would be no excessive family rules or deep-rooted family traditions. He had already paved the way for the future and prepared a relaxing environment for his bride. Had Evelyn married him, she would have felt happy that he had dealt with the rest of them for her. But she's not coming. She's looking for someone else. His bride, the woman he loved, did not marry him. She chose someone else. Today, the sun was shining brightly, but Harvey felt very cold. His world was like ice, and though he had all the power, he felt helpless. There was no one by his side to celebrate this victory. "Evelyn, why did you let me meet you and leave me after that? I have never seen a woman crueler than you." Harvey closed his eyes and opened them again as he walked out of the office building. There was no longer any sadness on his face. He was the cold and aloof Harvey Cage. "Evelyn, one day we'll meet again." 3 months later, Luke resigned from his job as mayor. The paper reported that he had left because of health problems. He was young and promising, and it was a pity that such a thing had happened. It did not matter to Harvey. He started to assign people to search for Evelyn and Mark worldwide. He began to expand his business and became very busy. He did not have the time to care about Luke. He did not expect Luke to be the key to Evelyn's disappearance. After Luke returned to New Orleans and confirmed that Harvey was not paying attention to him, he bought a plane ticket and left for Ireland. One afternoon, Evelyn was painting in the courtyard with a thick shawl around her shoulders. The house helper at home told her that someone was looking for her. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat, and she went to the living room with some fear. She saw Luke, wearing a windbreaker, put down his luggage and smiled gently at her.
"Evelyn, long time no see."
Evelyn looked at him blankly and mumbled, "Luke, are you here on a business trip or to see me?" Luke walked in front of her and held her in his arms. He said gently,
"Evelyn, my Evelyn, I will take care of you and your child from now on."
Evelyn was stunned and blinked her eyes in confusion. "Take care of me? And the child? Luke, I don't understand your words." Why did Luke have to take care of her and the child? That didn't make sense. Luke hugged her tightly and whispered,
"Because I love you. I want to care for you and the child."
It must have been the accumulation of his feelings for her over the past few years. These words weighed down his heart, and he had to speak them aloud. When he finally said the words, they were so gentle and calm. He felt that his heart was only filled with tenderness towards her. He was no longer as nervous as he was as a teenager. He was no longer as excited as when he first realized he loved her. He was very calm, but that did not mean his love was not serious. Luke spoke the 3 words very calmly. He carried his usual gentlemanly demeanor. However, when Evelyn heard these words, calmness was not what she felt. Episode 283, Luke's Decision. Evelyn pushed Luke away in shock. She did not know what to do. "Luke, do you think it is too hard for me to live alone with a child? Is that why you made up such a lie? It is not necessary. You do not need to help me like this. It is too much."
"Evelyn, I am not lying because I want to help you. That's not a joke or a lie. It is the truth. I love you. I have for a very long time. You said you wanted me to find my happiness, and now I am looking for my happiness. Evelyn, let me take care of you,"
Luke said as he grabbed her hand. Evelyn looked at him and suddenly pulled out her hand. She turned her face away and said, "Luke, if what you said is true, I am sorry. I have never thought that way about you, so I can't be your happiness. You need to find someone else." Evelyn knew very well that Luke would not get anything from her. She had already harmed too many people. She did not want to drag Luke down with her. She knew that her friend was worth a better woman. She could not let him waste any more time on her.
"I came here after I finished dealing with my business. I won't leave just because you said so."
Luke pursed his lips and looked at her intensely. He sighed and said,
"I know what you were thinking. You don't want to drag me down. But have you ever thought that letting me stay with you is the best thing for me?"
Evelyn shook her head and said thoughtfully, "Luke, we have known each other for so long. I know that I cannot make you leave even if I say ruthless words. But you know that my heart is with Harvey. Even though I have left him, my heart is still with him. Furthermore, I am carrying his child. I do not want to drag you into this. Don't wait for me, as I might not forget Harvey for the rest of my life." She had already experienced the pain of not being responded to. She felt sad for Luke, knowing that he would suffer because of her. Why was he so stubborn? Luke looked at her and smiled bitterly.
"You always think you know what's good for me. But do you really know what I'm thinking?"
Luke walked in front of her and held her hands. He looked at her with beseeching brown eyes and said,
"The best thing right now is that I'm not away from you. This time I want to reach out and hug you. I wouldn't turn around and run away this time. I believe I can be with you. I've already missed too much and I don't want to miss any more. For me, being with you is good enough. I don't want anything more."
Luke's words were sincere. It was enough for her to figure out what had happened over the years. He wasn't willing to just let it end like this. He wasn't going to do anything Evelyn didn't want, but he also didn't want to let her go. So this time, he decided to make his position known. "This time, Evelyn, nothing can stop me from being by your side. Now that I've come to your side, I won't leave again." Evelyn saw that Luke was being stubborn and did not want to let go. She sighed and said, "I still can't agree, but you came here to stay. Rest well today. We will talk another day." When Luke heard this, he smiled lightly.
"All right, we'll talk about it another day."
He knew that she might object anyway, but it didn't matter. They had plenty of time. In the following days, Evelyn asked him repeatedly to go home, but Luke disagreed. Every time she said it, he would passionately confess to her, causing her to be unable to continue speaking. Luke smiled. Evelyn realized that although this man had changed entirely, he still had the shadow of his childhood. He was still a petulant child. For example, no matter what excuse she might use to chase him away, it wouldn't work. After a few months of dawdling, Evelyn reached her due date. As she was with the child, she was much safer with Luke around. Once she almost fell down the stairs. Luke protected her. One night, Luke carried Evelyn back to her room. Evelyn looked at his gentle face and softly said, "Luke, you are worth a better woman. It is a pity for you to be stuck here with me."
"Are you going to chase me away again? I won't listen to you,"
Luke said with a smile. Evelyn sighed and said, "Actually, you filled up a lot of my loneliness since you've been here. In the beginning, I was terrified of coming here alone. I was afraid that I wasn't that strong. Your coming here really comforted me a lot. But my heart is missing someone else, which is very unfair to you." Luke stroked her hair and said,
"If one day you are able to let go of the person in your heart, I will marry you. When the time comes, the child will believe me to be its father, and I will treat it as my own. But after a long time, when I get tired of waiting, I assure you that I will leave. But don't rush to chase me away now. I am still by your side now because I love you, and also because I cannot leave you right now in this state."
The gears of fate rolled gently. Evelyn thought about it for a long time that night. She thought about the time she chased after Timothy. Although he did not respond to her, she persisted. The feeling of liking a person was not something that could be taken back immediately just because that person did not reciprocate your love. It had to go through a baptism of time before it could change. It didn't make sense for her to say anything to Luke now, but he would understand in the future that the two weren't suitable for each other. He would realize that their paths were different and that his final destination wasn't her. At that time, they could smile and then separate. Let Luke stay by her side for the time being. At least she would not be afraid. It was good for her child. It was a special favor for her to have such a familiar person to take care of her. Forget it. He wouldn't leave anyway. Let's wait for the child to come into this world. While Evelyn was thinking this, Harvey was looking for her everywhere.
"I will find you, Evelyn. You cannot enjoy happiness alone. You must return to me."
Luke did not tell Evelyn that Harvey had not broken off the engagement. Perhaps it was a tacit understanding, but neither of them mentioned Harvey. In Evelyn's heart, Harvey was a gentle wound, and she was afraid that she would be more dependent on him if she talked about him. Luke was always fearful that Evelyn would waver, which would slow down his progress of getting closer to her. He was scared because he was selfish and hid everything from Harvey. While Luke stayed with Evelyn in the hope that one day fate would smile on him, Harvey Cage searched through the vast sea of people for that lover who had left. He wanted revenge, or perhaps there were other emotions within. Episode 284, A New Family. Some people, after they leave, dream of the person they loved every night. The longing fermenting in the night would settle down the next day, and the sun would rise to burn the remnants of the dream away. Somewhere in the future, a reunion was fated to happen. At that moment, everything was going to stop. 2 years later. "Mrs. Bigman, are you going to buy something? Oh, Norwood is getting cuter. Thank you. Is Mr. Bigman on a business trip again? When will he be back? He'll be back in a few days." In these 2 years, Evelyn had become entirely familiar with the place where she lived. Because she lived with Luke, everyone had tacitly acknowledged them as husband and wife. Evelyn originally wanted to explain, but Luke stopped her. He said that it was better this way. It would stop the rumors, and it would be better for the child. Evelyn did not care about herself, but when she thought of the child, Evelyn felt that she should make plans for the child and think about him. The child was born. It was a boy, now 2 years old. Evelyn named him Norwood because Harvey was in the north. Recently, she felt that Norwood's face looked more and more like Harvey's. Gazing at his face, Evelyn almost had the urge to go back. It had been 2.5 years since she had left, and she had not heard from Harvey since then. She did not know how he was doing, nor did she dare to ask Luke how Harvey had handled the matter. He must hate her. To keep him from worrying about her and seeking to find her, she had left the note. She left Harvey a letter, but she didn't look for him. Sometimes she thought she should look for him. Because she was no longer in New York City, even if Mark went back, he would find out she was not there. Unless she took the initiative to look for Mark, he would not be able to find her. But the world was so big, she didn't know where to find him. Norwood saw her sigh and put the candy in her hand.
Mommy, aren't you happy? Eat the candy.
Evelyn looked down at him and bent down to rub his little face. How can Mommy not be happy? Norwood is by Mommy's side, which makes her so happy. Norwood nodded and said obediently,
Yes, I'm here, and you don't have to be sad.
Evelyn loved her baby with all her heart. Every time her baby smiled at her, she would let go of her past. Norwood had inherited all of Harvey's good points. He was a genius child. He did not say much, but he learned quickly. Luke saw that he liked to learn, so he taught him all kinds of things. Little Norwood often told Luke and Evelyn that he was already a big boy and could take care of his mommy, which made Evelyn giggle. Evelyn saw that the candy was the strawberry flavor that she loved. The smile on her face became even broader. Her son was the most considerate and knew how to bring a smile to her face already. Once she popped the sweet into her mouth, the bitterness dispersed a little. It was a peaceful afternoon. Evelyn watched TV on the sofa, and Norwood played with the crazy-eared cat at home. Evelyn was a little tired and fell asleep. In her dream, she seemed to see Harvey walking toward her. He held her hand and gently said,
Darling, come home with me, together with our son.
Evelyn laughed and softly muttered, All right, I will go back with you, Harvey.
Mommy, there's a delivery.
Her son's call pulled Evelyn out of her sleep. When Evelyn woke up, she realized that she was dreaming and could not help but smile bitterly. She wanted to go back to the dream again. Evelyn pulled herself together and took a deep breath. She asked Norwood beside her, Was it sent by your godfather?
It's not.
Norwood shook his head. He was sure it wasn't from his godfather.
The sender's name is Mark. Isn't that Uncle's name?
Norwood was surprised. When Evelyn heard the name, she was shocked and quickly took the delivery. Impossible! How could it be Mark? How did he find me? Evelyn was so nervous that her hands were shaking. She hurriedly opened the delivery. There was a letter and a present.
Sister, when I got back to New York City and found you gone, I started looking for you. And finally, I found you. I'm in France now, and it's Paris Fashion Week. Are you interested? Mark.
The gift was an earring. Evelyn didn't know the meaning of an earring, but since Mark gave it, she added to it the other treasures he had given her. Evelyn couldn't believe it. He found her. Evelyn hugged Norwood and said excitedly, Norwood, Mommy is so happy. Your uncle is coming back. Norwood had heard his mother say that his uncle had gone far away. When he heard that his uncle was returning, he was happy for his mother. He hugged her and said,
Yay!
Evelyn was very excited. She opened the back of the card and saw the hotel's address. Her heart was beating very fast. She couldn't wait to see Mark. She hadn't seen him in years, and she had too much to say to him. But Evelyn looked at Norwood and felt worried. If she brought him along, it would complicate matters, and the boy would not be safe. So it was best to leave him here at home for the time being. Fortunately, Luke would be back by tonight. Evelyn looked at Norwood seriously and said, Sweetie, Mommy will go and fetch Uncle, okay? Can you stay with Godfather for the next few days? Norwood blinked his beautiful eyes. He raised his head confidently and said,
Don't worry, Mommy. godfather and I will be good.
Evelyn could not help laughing. This little fellow insisted on taking credit for it. Rubbing his hair, Evelyn followed his words and said, "All right, then I'll leave it to you." When Luke came back at night, he noticed that Evelyn was in a good mood. She had cooked a large assortment of dishes. Luke smiled and asked, "What happened? Did something good occur while I was gone?" "Is it that easy to guess?" Evelyn smiled. Luke raised his eyebrows. "You're glowing." The two sat down, and Evelyn told Luke about the delivery. Luke frowned. He felt strange. He couldn't believe that Mark had found Evelyn. But then the person in question was Mark. Everyone knew how persistent he could be. It wasn't really a shock that he was able to find Evelyn. It was just that he felt a bit strange. Why didn't Mark come here instead of sending for her? Why did he want Evelyn to go to France instead? "I'm not sure that it won't be dangerous," Luke said, still worried. Evelyn waved her hand. "How could there be any danger?" "Luke, you are overthinking this. I've read the letter. Mark himself wrote it. I would not mistake my own brother's handwriting. How could Mark harm me? It's fine." Luke was still worried and said, "How about I go with you?" "No need. I will go by myself. We need to talk about many things after all this time. I will bring him back with me after we clear things out." Evelyn was full of confidence. She was in a good mood. Although it was a long time before she could meet Harvey, it would be a blessing to her if Mark could return into her life. Episode 285, Long Time No See. Determined to bring Mark back, Evelyn bought a plane ticket to France the next day. Without a doubt, she said bye to her son and Luke in the morning and boarded the plane to Paris. It was afternoon when she arrived and checked into Mark's hotel. The receptionist saw her and smiled. "Hello, Mr. Petal had an errand to run today and will return this evening. He told us, if you came, to give you a room card and let you rest until he returns." "Okay, thank you." Evelyn nodded and took her room card. She was a bit nervous in the presidential suite. She turned on the TV and found an old movie to watch. She couldn't help but think back to when she had watched an old movie with Harvey in a hotel suite just as fancy as this one. When she recalled the memories, it was as if she couldn't stop. Many memories rushed in, and Evelyn's imagination ran wild until evening. At night, a waiter brought a candle-lit dinner. Evelyn looked at the time and could not help but ask the waiter, "The person who arranged for you to bring this, where is he now?" The man said, "That gentleman will be here soon. Please take a seat." The waiter pulled out a chair for Evelyn and asked her to sit down. After that, he left the room. Evelyn's heart was beating fast in the dim candlelight, like a prisoner waiting for trial. Evelyn's breathing became rapid. With a click, the door unlocked. Evelyn swallowed hard and nervously waited for the door to open. Sure enough, the door swung in, and the first thing she saw was a pair of pricey leather shoes. He was wearing an expensive suit, and a pair of alluring hooded eyes, and a handsome face that no one could ever forget. But it wasn't Mark. Evelyn looked at the man who walked in, and her breathing stopped altogether. It had never occurred to her that she would be reunited with this man without warning. "Surprised? Are you disappointed to see my face?" The person who entered smiled faintly. His carefree manner made Evelyn almost think that it was an illusion. It was Harvey Cage, the man for whom she had been yearning. He was impeccably dressed, just like in her memories, and it seemed like he was walking through time toward her once again. Evelyn was at a loss for what to do. She grabbed her skirt tightly and muttered in a panic, "What? You... Harvey nodded and sat down opposite her. He said, "That's right, it's me. I got someone to write the letter and send it to you. It was all fake. I just wanted to get you here." Evelyn looked at him blankly, still unable to recover her senses. She was at a loss for words. She did not know how to explain everything to this man. Harvey, however, pursed his lower lip and took a sip of red wine. He gave her enough time to regain her bearings from being shocked and helpless. He said lightly, "If you can't say anything, eat first." After saying that, Harvey began to eat his dinner. Evelyn's mind was a mess. She couldn't eat anything, but she couldn't just stare at him. So she nibbled on a bit of the steak. This candlelight dinner was the most awkward meal they had ever shared. Evelyn didn't know if it was her imagination, but she felt that Harvey ate his meal happily. Although Harvey had always been cold, the Harvey sitting in front of her now made Evelyn feel like he was dangerous. After quietly finishing his meal, Harvey put down his fork and said, "Long time no see. How are you?" His deep and magnetic voice had not changed. Time had not left any trace of emotion on this man's face. Now he sat in front of Evelyn and asked her if she had been well. They were like old friends who had not seen each other for a long time. However, Evelyn and he knew very well in their hearts that the two of them were not just old friends. They would never be friends. Whatever they had been back then, they couldn't be friends, no matter how many years passed. She had once sworn an oath of love, but now it had disappeared without a trace. The current Harvey caught Evelyn off guard. She could not be as bold as she was a few years ago. She definitely could not be held in his arms or even hold his hand. How am I? Evelyn thought. Well, I have an angel child by my side. But I am not good. I'm not good. How can I be good without you by my side? Evelyn wanted to say what she was thinking to Harvey, but she didn't dare. She knew Harvey well. When this man had feelings for her and cared about her, there were many possibilities for them. However, he did not seem to care about her anymore, and he was cold and calm. But if he didn't care, why did he go to such an extent to find her? Perhaps he came to say that he was the one who dumped her. After all, he was the proud Harvey Cage and would not allow his aura to be tainted by any sign of weakness. Lowering her head, Evelyn felt the ache in her heart when she thought of the possibilities. However, she still tried her best to appear calm and assertive. She said, "I'm fine. How about you? Are you doing well?" Harvey smiled faintly and said, "Me? I'm fine too. It's just that the little inconvenience caused by your departure has troubled me a bit." Evelyn clenched her hands under the table. She naturally felt guilty toward Harvey. She lowered her head and said dryly, "I'm sorry." Harvey raised his eyebrows and said, "I don't need your apology. As I said, I'm doing well. I need you to pay the price for everything you caused." His words made Evelyn shiver. The price? Evelyn didn't know what price Harvey was talking about. Even though it was such a terrible moment right now, she couldn't deny the joy she felt seeing him again. When she did not know how to reappear in front of him, he took the initiative to find her. Perhaps it meant that the two of them were not wholly irredeemable. There was still a chance they could go back. She could let go of Mark now. She knew that he had complete control of the Cage group, and they had nothing to worry about anymore. They might be able to go back. Evelyn clenched her fists tightly. She was a little nervous, but she still said, "Harvey, I will agree to whatever price you believe I should pay. I owe you that."
"That's right, Evelyn. You owe me. You should know that you were the one who made me fall for you, and you were the one who betrayed me. It wouldn't help if you begged a bit more. I won't be kind to you, nor will I care about your current life. I must control everything you have from now on,"
Harvey said coldly. Evelyn was stunned, and her heart couldn't help but feel a sharp pain. As expected, he hated her deeply. Even now, he couldn't find it in his heart to forgive. She did not know what pain he had suffered since she left, and her heart ached for his indifference toward her. Evelyn bit her lips and made up her mind to let Harvey calm down first. She would explain to him later when she would have the chance. At that time, he would listen to her. She raised her head and looked at Harvey through her tears. Evelyn said, "I owe you. I remember everything. I will do whatever you want." Harvey saw how obedient she was, and the anger in his heart grew even more potent. Episode 286. The Game Begins. As soon as Harvey learned where Evelyn was, he immediately thought of his plan to lure her to him. She said that she had gone to find Mark when she left, but she had not found him. He was confident that she would fall into his trap. However, he did not expect to see a calm face. Evelyn did not panic, but she was not even embarrassed. This was not what he wanted. He wanted to hurt Evelyn badly. And now she calmly said she was willing to make up for it. Did this woman think that she would be able to repay all that he had lost? He hated looking at her perfectly serene and mature face. This was not what he wanted. He wanted to see her cry. Only by humiliating her would he be able to calm the turmoil in his heart. "Take off your clothes, now," Harvey said coldly to Evelyn. Evelyn blinked her eyes in astonishment. She thought she was hallucinating and stared blankly at Harvey. Harvey looked at her shocked face and said, "You probably don't realize that we are still engaged. I lied to the media. Now, I want you to marry me. As compensation for all these years, I want the benefits of husband and wife." Evelyn's breathing stopped, and she tried her best to swallow around the lump in her throat. Evelyn panicked and stood up helplessly to look at him. After a long while, she muttered and shook her head. "This is impossible. You cannot do this. How could the two of them still be engaged?" She thought that Harvey would have canceled the engagement. Such a proud man. Harvey also stood up and walked to her side. He approached her and said, "You thought I would break the engagement because I would be mad that you made a fool of me, right? At first I thought that way, but then I thought about how I could not let the woman who dared betray me go free. So I lied to the media and said that you went to study abroad, and I would wait for you." He reached out his hand and pinched Evelyn's pale little face. In a low, menacing tone, Harvey said, "Evelyn, this is my revenge on you. From now on, you will feel the full weight of what you have done to me." Evelyn was scared out of her wits. She turned around and wanted to run, but Harvey hugged her waist. "Let me go! Harvey, let me go!" Evelyn screamed and struggled. Harvey, however, did not move at all. He carried her into the bedroom. Harvey completely ignored Evelyn's resistance and spent the night wreaking havoc on her. Evelyn was so dizzy in the latter half of the night, she had no strength left. She fainted in her sweat before Harvey let go of her. The night was very dark. Harvey looked at the unconscious Evelyn who was lying beside him. The past was still vivid in his mind, as if it was yesterday when he hugged and nibbled her gently. He did not touch her lips that night. Even when they were intimate, Harvey would not kiss her. He used this method to tell this woman that he did not do it with her because he loved her. It was just a kind of cruel punishment for her. That was what he thought. However, Evelyn's delicate lips were softly closed at that moment, attracting him to lean over. Harvey gently kissed her lips. All these years of emptiness and loneliness had finally been filled. "Evelyn, I despise that I have any feeling for you other than hatred. Perhaps it was, as the people of this world said, the depth of love is more than the depth of hate. Evelyn, you are mine. You are not allowed to escape anymore," Harvey said, looking at her earring. There was now a tracker in it, and even if she ran to the end of the world, he could find her. However, he was still worried. He looked at her neck and saw that she still had the necklace he had given her. Harvey was confused that she kept something so personal. "Evelyn, why are you still wearing the necklace I gave you?" "No, it's impossible. You left me for another man. How could you still have me in your heart?" Harvey rolled over and fell asleep next to Evelyn. He resisted the urge to hug her because he did not want her to wake up until the morning. He did not want Evelyn to think that he was being gentle with her. He wanted to give her a cruel memory and let her taste his bitterness. However, Harvey had a good night's sleep. It was unusual for him to sleep so well these days. Evelyn woke up around 5 in the morning. Looking at Harvey beside her, Evelyn bit her lip. The pain all over her body told her that Harvey only hated her now. After quietly putting on her clothes, Evelyn looked at Harvey. She was silently struggling in her heart. Don't you know how much he hates you? Would he listen if she showed up with his baby now? No, she could not. If she brought her child to see him, would he hate her more for hiding their child from him? Perhaps she would lose Norwood, her beloved son. She should compensate Harvey, but she could not stay by his side. She had a son waiting for her. He said he hadn't broken off his engagement with her. Was he going to take her back to New York by force? Would he marry her? Shaking her head, Evelyn quickly denied her fantasies and expectations. She knew that Harvey wanted to marry her this time, not because he loved her, but because he wanted to take revenge on her. Her future married life would be painful. She could not fall into his trap. What she wanted was a beautiful future for him. If possible, she was willing to compensate him, but she could not do it at the risk of Norwood and her future. She was no longer alone. She still had Norwood. For Norwood's sake, she couldn't stay with Harvey. She had to leave. But if she went home, Harvey would find her. If he did, he would discover Norwood. Evelyn bit her lip and calmed down to think for a while. She looked deeply at the sleeping Harvey and got up. Evelyn took her things and ran away. As soon as she left the bedroom, Harvey opened his eyes. Harvey got up and put on his bathrobe, but he was not in a hurry to find Evelyn. He picked up the phone and called the people below. When the phone call connected, the person on the other end said respectfully, "Yes, sir, what can we help you with?" "Has anyone caught up with my guest?" "We have already spotted her and will not lose her." "Don't get caught. Keep following her at a distance," Harvey said calmly and hung up the phone. "Evelyn, run. This time you won't be able to escape from me no matter what. The game has only just begun." He was not in a hurry to imprison Evelyn. He had plenty of time to play with her. Evelyn got into a taxi as soon as she exited the hotel. Episode 287, Hideout. Evelyn hurried to the airport. She thought about it and decided not to buy a plane ticket to her original destination. She bought a ticket to Italy instead. She decided to hide there until Harvey was no longer looking for her. She would tell Luke to take Norwood to another place. Although there were some twists and turns, it would be safer for her. The moment the plane took off, Evelyn felt emotional pain and let out a sigh of relief. Perhaps life was beyond her expectations. She had never thought she would reunite with Harvey in such a way. "Harvey, I've never betrayed you before. If possible, I would have stayed with you, but that has to wait. I really can't rush it." She was actually happy to know that he had not married and was still engaged to her. Even if he only wanted to take revenge on her, she was already feeling better. But now she had to settle Norwood properly before asking for Harvey's forgiveness. If he did not forgive her in the end, at least Norwood would always be with her. She really could not lose Norwood. He was life to her. On the plane, Evelyn thought about closing her eyes. She did not sleep well last night, but it was rare for her to sleep during the daytime. Evelyn did not know that the man sitting next to her was Harvey's spy. No matter where she went, there would be people monitoring her. She would not escape his surveillance. After getting off the plane, Evelyn found a hotel in Italy. She was afraid that her phone would be traced, so she called Luke from the lobby. When Luke received her call, he heaved a sigh of relief. "I couldn't get through to you. I was scared to death." Evelyn apologized awkwardly. "I'm sorry, Luke. I made you worry." "I want to know that you are safe and sound. How is it? Have you seen your brother?" Luke asked with concern. Evelyn took a deep breath. She did not know how to tell him what she had encountered. If she told him, he would fly to her immediately. She decided not to tell him. And moreover, she did not know how to explain that she had not seen her brother. "Luke, I have some things to take care of here. I promise you that I will be safe, but can you take Norwood back to New Orleans for a while? I can't come home right now," Evelyn said sincerely. Luke frowned. He already felt that something was amiss when she went to see Mark.
But Evelyn's words made his heart skip a beat. "Evelyn, what happened to you? Are you safe now? Is it inconvenient for you to talk? Is someone threatening you?" Luke asked with a dark face. Evelyn quickly explained to him, "It's not like that. I wasn't kidnapped or coerced. I can FaceTime you if you want. I met Harvey. Luke, Harvey and I are inextricably linked. You also know that things are complicated, so I can't go back now. You can bring Norwood to New Orleans, right?" Luke's heart sank when he heard Harvey's name. He was slightly startled, almost feeling like he was dreaming. The man he thought no longer existed in his and Evelyn's world suddenly appeared and stepped between them. No, it wasn't like that. Perhaps Luke had been dreaming all these years. He had always interfered with these two people, thinking that he could cut off their connection. But as expected, he was still too naive. Luke's chest rose and fell in pain. He asked with a dry voice, "Are you with him now?" Evelyn heard his patient and painful voice, and only then did she realize that the three of them were in an awkward situation. She still loved Harvey, but Luke had been with her all these years. He had waited for her for so long, although he had said he would give up when the time came. But it was not time yet. "No, I am not with him now," Evelyn muttered, not knowing how to continue. She loved Harvey, after all. She couldn't say anything to Luke. On the other end, Luke was silent for a while before he said softly, "Be careful. Remember to call me every day. I will take Norwood to New Orleans, and I will also sweep the house to ensure no sign remains of you." Luke was about to hang up when Evelyn called out, "Luke!" Luke paused and asked, "What's wrong?" Evelyn hesitated for a moment and took a deep breath. "Thank you. In my heart, we are family." "Yes, I know." Luke smiled and said goodbye before hanging up. After disconnecting, Luke lowered his head. He knew he was family, but he couldn't be a lover. The role of a lover had always belonged to Harvey.
What's wrong? Is it Mommy's phone?
Norwood ran over and grabbed his leg. Luke leaned over and gently stroked his hair. "It's your mommy. Your mommy said she's going to be busy for some time. Let me take you back to our hometown. Norwood, would you like to go on a trip?"
Yeah, Mommy is busy. I will wait.
Norwood nodded obediently. Luke looked at him. Harvey's shadow could be seen on the child. He suddenly felt a pang in his heart, thinking of this little boy who could look like him. If only all his fantasies were real. "Evelyn, I don't want to be your family. I want to be your lover first, then your family." After Evelyn finished her phone call, she sat on the bed and thought about everything. She went to take a shower and changed into a bathrobe. She turned on the TV and lay on the bed. Although it looked like a vacation, Evelyn was not in the mood to go sightseeing. Her mind was filled with thoughts of the anger Harvey might have when he woke up. She was also thinking about what she and Luke should do. It felt like stabbing each other every time they talked about this tricky part of their relationship. It was difficult for her to say it, but she only thought of Luke as her brother. She felt that she was lucky to know him. Perhaps she had once liked him when she was very young, but that time had long passed. At that time, the two of them were young and ignorant. If the universe hadn't been so cruel to her, she might have fallen in love with Luke. He would have become the best first love of her youth. But then too many things happened, and now they will never be able to go back to their youthful and ignorant days. Their story had met its end long back in the past. The man she loved the most in her life was the one who was furious and keen to take revenge. No matter where she went, she still held Harvey's hand. Evelyn was on the bed watching Notting Hill. She fell asleep as she watched. She didn't know how long she had slept, but she could smell food in the air. It was very fragrant and smelled terrific. When Evelyn opened her eyes, the sky was already completely dark. In the darkness, she could feel someone else in the room. Evelyn was so scared that she sat up and grabbed the blanket close to her body. She trembled and wanted to speak, but her eyes caught a glimpse of a slender hand. The shape was familiar. Evelyn took a deep breath and looked up at Harvey's handsome face. He was calmly holding a glass of wine and looking at her over the rim.
Episode 288, No Escape.
"You're awake?"
Harvey asked coldly. Evelyn's breathing almost stopped. This is impossible. Why are you here? Is it a dream? Am I still in France? Evelyn wondered. No, that's impossible. Evelyn grabbed her head in fear. Her fingers unconsciously touched the earring on her ear. Evelyn was so frightened that she quickly took it off and threw it on the bed. Harvey put down his glass and walked over to her with a cold smile.
"Evelyn, did you think I would let you go that easily again? You are not that naive, are you?"
He only wanted to take revenge on her and wantonly humiliate her. He did not have any warmth left to give her. I felt guilty and allowed you to do whatever you wanted, but I can't allow you to do it again and again. I'm not your toy.
"Isn't that the only use a woman has? You need to open your legs."
Harvey ignored Evelyn's words and took off his suit and tie. Evelyn realized that she couldn't talk sense into Harvey and struggled to get up on the bed. She wanted to escape, but Harvey did not give her a chance. He grabbed her wrist, raised her hand to her head, and tied it to the bed. Let go of me, Harvey! You pervert! Let go of me! Evelyn struggled and shouted. However, Harvey did not care about her struggles at all. He tied her to the headboard. Her voice was too loud, so Harvey used his handkerchief to cover her mouth, telling her not to speak. Evelyn struggled violently, but Harvey remained unmoved. He reached out to take off her clothes, and as he did so, he said coldly,
"Evelyn, do you think you can escape? I want to take revenge on you for all that you have put me through. Can I allow you to escape so easily?"
Evelyn stared at him with scared eyes and struggled hard. She hadn't expected Harvey to force himself on her again. Unlike his previous gentleness, he was now rude and cruel. She hated him. She didn't like this unloving reunion at all. But no matter how unwilling she was, Harvey still did it with her, regardless of her pain and suffering, struggling and resisting. After he was done, Evelyn was out of breath. The 2 nights of devastation almost made her dehydrated. When Harvey untied her wrist, he saw that there was already a red mark on her wrist. He was startled, but he turned his eyes away and ignored them. Evelyn lay on the bed, unable to move. Harvey took some water from the side and handed it to her.
"Drink it. I don't want to go and find a doctor for you."
Evelyn couldn't even raise her hand to receive it, so she ignored him. Harvey frowned, suddenly drank some water, pinched her lower lip, leaned over, and poured the water from his mouth into hers. It was the first kiss since they reunited, and Harvey took a few more sips of water and gave it to her. When his lips touched her lips, Evelyn's heart trembled. She seemed to go back in time. However, after Harvey finished transferring water to her, he let go of her and said coldly, "If I weren't afraid that something would happen to you, and I would have called a doctor, I wouldn't have kissed your lips. I don't want to. You should understand that by now." Evelyn was startled and her heart ached. She turned around and faced the other side. Her voice was hoarse as she muttered, "I understand. Yes. How could I not understand that for you I am just a woman you want revenge on, and you have no love for me?" Harvey looked at her back and clenched his fists. "No, Evelyn, you don't understand. You don't know how much I loved you once, and how the pain and despair made me become like this. I have to hurt you to calm myself down. I don't think you have still found him, even after running for all these years." Harvey took a cigarette from the drawer of the table and lit it. The smell of tobacco filled the air. Evelyn was stunned. She turned back to look at him. "Have you started smoking?" She knew Harvey never smoked, and he always hated tobacco. Was it because of her?
"What I do has nothing to do with you."
Harvey frowned in disgust. He seemed to hate bringing up this topic. He continued smoking and said,
"I'm asking you a question. Didn't you leave to find Mark? You haven't found him yet, right?"
Evelyn bit her lower lip. That was the lie she had told him at the time. Now it was time to explain. But she had no way to start that conversation with him now, as it would fall on deaf ears. It was as if the smell of tobacco surrounded him, and he no longer had the fragrance she was familiar with. Things were still the same, and yet not the same. Was it meant to be like this, facing a completely changed and unfamiliar Harvey? Evelyn grabbed the bedsheet under her and exhaled. She muttered stubbornly, "My business has nothing to do with you." Harvey broke the cigarette in his hand. "Yes, it's none of my business. However, I want to tell you that you will have no chance of finding him now. I will take you back to New York. Our wedding will take place very soon. From now on, I want you to stay by my side and agree not to escape. You will be Mrs. Cage in name alone."
Evelyn smiled bitterly.
"Right."
"Yes, in name alone. So you can't control me, no matter what I do."
Harvey smiled cruelly.
"But you have to fulfill your wife's duty. You owe me this."
Evelyn closed her eyes. She was thinking of running away. She really couldn't stay with him. She had to go back and find Norwood. Evelyn secretly planned to use the same trick again, but suddenly, a cold feeling came from her feet that wrapped around her ankle. Evelyn was shocked and hurriedly sat up and saw that her feet were shackled to the bedpost. Evelyn's eyes widened. She was furious. "Harvey, I'm not your prisoner. This is illegal." Evelyn was furious. She did not expect Harvey to treat her like this. Harvey looked at her coldly and said,
"This is a measure to prevent you from escaping our marriage again. Don't think that I don't know what's going on in your mind. Evelyn, do you think I will give you a chance to humiliate me again?"
Evelyn looked at him. Her heart was so painful that she tightly held onto the bedsheet. She shook her head furiously. "I don't want to marry you. I don't want to marry someone like you." This terrifying, cold feeling was akin to being entangled by a poisonous snake. It was coming from the chains restraining her and from Harvey's body simultaneously. When she left back then, she had never thought that Harvey would take revenge on her like this. She only felt that he would hate her. Perhaps if they met again, they would be strangers. She never thought that he would hate her to the point where he would wait for revenge.
"No one cares about your opinion. This is my revenge, Evelyn. You have to marry me obediently and complete what you failed to do 2 years ago."
Harvey smiled coldly, turned around, and walked out. Evelyn struggled to call him back. "Harvey! Harvey!" That night, Harvey slept alone in another room. Evelyn was shackled to the bed. The iron chain was very long. It was apparent that Harvey had specially prepared it for her. It was only long enough for her to go to the bathroom. She tried to undo the chain, but failed. The following day, Harvey took some clothes and threw them at her.
"Put them on. We will go back to New York now."
Evelyn looked at the clothes coldly and raised her head to look at him. "I will not act with you in front of the media." Episode 289, Imprisoned.
"No need,"
Harvey said with a cold smile.
"You don't have to show yourself this time. It would help if I found someone like you to replace you."
Evelyn felt a sharp pain in her heart. She looked at him sadly. "Harvey, why are you torturing me like this? This marriage is so hasty. Is it worth it for you to do this?" Was it worth it for him? Harvey bent down to look at her. His eyes showed determination.
"Meaningless torture? Evelyn, what I want is not meaningless to me. Marriage? I don't believe in that sacred ritual. What I want is to take your future freedom. You will never have the chance to find Mark again. You will become Mrs. Cage, but you won't have a husband. Your husband will hate you, and you will live under his cruel treatment for the rest of your life. I wanted to dote on you in the past, but now I will dote on many women and force you to watch."
Evelyn's face was pale. Looking at her expression, Harvey smiled. His eyes narrowed slightly and he clapped his hands. A woman in a red dress walked in and walked straight to Harvey. She smiled charmingly. "Hello." Harvey put his arms around her waist and kissed her on the lips. Evelyn stared blankly at the scene. How long had it been? She had never seen him kiss anyone else. In her memory, Harvey always doted on her. Only her. When she first met him, she knew that he was a cold man with many one-night lovers. But Harvey was not like that once he was with her. In her memory, he was gentle, charming, and warm. He would give her his exclusive love. He would say that he loved her and would gently hold her in his arms. He would say that he wanted to marry her. His eyes were filled with love. But now, he hugged and kissed someone else with ease. After Harvey finished kissing that woman, he let go of her and said, "Keep an eye on her. Later, put some makeup on Mrs. Cage. If the media takes a picture of her like this, it will shame the Cage group." After Harvey finished speaking, he walked out. Evelyn sat on the bed in a daze. All the tears welled up in her eyes and flowed down. If it weren't for the woman in red standing beside her and talking to her, she would have thought that she was dreaming. "Mrs. Cage, please put on your clothes so that I can put makeup on you," she said to her. Evelyn's face was ashen. She felt like she could barely breathe. She could endure his cruel treatment, but she could not see him being intimate with other women. Subconsciously, she still had a little arrogance. She thought she could still occupy his heart. But now Evelyn realized that she was not in his heart anymore. During these past 2 years, she had always thought that Harvey was still in love with her. She was wrong. Evelyn hugged herself tightly and mumbled to this woman, "Don't you feel uncomfortable?" The woman was stunned for a moment. Even though Evelyn's question was shocking, she still understood what she meant. She smiled and said, "Why should I be? We are just the women by his side. Don't be too sad, Mrs. Cage. At least you have the name, right?" Evelyn pursed her lips and smiled. Her smile was extremely tight. "But I don't want a title. I want him to love me." She got up and changed her clothes and put on makeup. Evelyn walked out in a daze. Harvey looked up and down at Evelyn, dressed up, and nodded with satisfaction. "All right, let's go." Evelyn did not struggle, nor did she resist. She had been in a daze the entire time. In the car, her eyes were closed, and she did not speak. On the plane, she closed her eyes again. She wanted to fall asleep, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw Harvey kissing another woman. She wanted back the gentle Harvey who loved her. When she opened her eyes, she could see Harvey opposite her, flirting with the beauty in red. Evelyn suddenly felt very disgusted with the world. But then she opened her eyes and looked at the clouds outside the window. She thought of Norwood, her darling child and her gentle friend. It was a kinship that would never hurt her. The person who would never hurt her was her family. Evelyn clenched her fists again and again. Once again, she swore to escape. She had to escape. This time she would take Norwood and go somewhere Harvey could not find them. But she no longer held any hope. She wanted to take Norwood all over the world to find Mark. She wanted to be with her family. As for Harvey, he only existed in her world as a shadow of her memories. The chain tied to their fingers at the fair by the gypsy woman was broken. There was no way to connect the two of them. Harvey had been teasing the woman the whole time on the plane, but Evelyn had closed her eyes and could not see him looking at her reflection repeatedly in the window. When they arrived in the city, Harvey had Evelyn locked up inside a house. People were watching her all the time. Evelyn pursed her lips and looked at the people guarding the house. Her voice was a little hoarse. "This is your territory. I can't run away. You don't have to have all these people here." "It's hard to say." Harvey leaned over and whispered into her ear, "After all, you ran away like that 2 years ago." Evelyn's body trembled. She lowered her head and did not speak again. Harvey pointed to her room and said, "You cook tonight." Evelyn's pupils contracted as she refuted, "It's hard for me after being on a plane for so long." Harvey said coldly, "That's your business. Make dinner for 3 people. He reached out his hand and stroked her hair. He leaned over and whispered into her ear, "Be good. You don't want to know what kind of shameful things I will do if you disobey me." Evelyn's expression was horrid. Her heart was suffering from humiliation and pain, but she could only say to him, "Okay, I'll do it." Evelyn knew that she would need to comply or find a way to run. Harvey left Evelyn alone in the house and then went to the cage group. Evelyn stayed at home alone. He had confiscated her phone. She tried to use the house phone to call outside. The phone line was utterly useless, and the internet had been disconnected. She became a caged bird, the last thing she wanted to be. Harvey had imprisoned her here so she could not communicate with the outside world. She had not told Luke about her situation. She had also told him that she might not be able to call him for some time, so Luke would not suspect that she was in trouble. Neither would he try to contact her, nor would he come to save her. She was smart enough to rely on herself. If she wanted to return to Norwood, she had to leave this place. But how? As she walked through the rooms and the familiar places, they didn't appear to have changed. She was overwhelmed by the beautiful memories of the time spent here with Harvey. She went downstairs, and it seemed as if she were reliving those joyous times. Episode 290, Humiliation and Revenge. On the way back from the company, Harvey was a little impatient. He was occupied by a woman. Harvey did not know if he was impatient because he was eager to see Evelyn at the house, to humiliate her, or both. When they arrived at the house, Harvey opened the door with the pretty woman beside him. The air was filled with the smell of Evelyn's cooking. The woman's eyes lit up. She raised her head and said to Harvey, "Oh, Harvey, it smells good. Your chefs must be trying something new." Harvey smiled and said, "No chef makes this." "If it's not a chef, who would cook it?" the woman asked in surprise. Harvey smiled meaningfully but did not answer. He walked into the dining room with the woman on his arm. Evelyn had just put down the soup and was surprised to see him. Her eyes naturally fell on the woman beside him. She was different from the woman who was with him earlier. It was just as the woman had said. Harvey had many women at his disposal. Harvey put his arm around the woman's waist. His dark eyes slightly narrowed, giving him a conniving look. "Didn't you ask me who cooked the meal if it weren't a chef? Let me introduce you. This is my fiancée, Evelyn. She specially made dinner when she learned that you were coming tonight." The woman was stunned at first. Then she looked at Evelyn with a scrutinizing gaze. Evelyn was wearing her most comfortable outfit, an ordinary t-shirt and jeans. She was even wearing an apron. In the eyes of the woman Harvey was hugging, this outfit was below someone of her status. With a harsh laugh, the woman said to Harvey, "Oh, seriously? I thought she was a maid. I never thought this would be the future Mrs. Cage. I'm so sorry." Evelyn looked at Harvey and the woman expressionlessly. She'd thought she'd have a reunion dinner with him tonight. And even though they couldn't be like they used to be, Evelyn still hoped he loved the food she'd made. If she couldn't warm his heart, she thought she could at least fill his stomach. However, it seemed that she couldn't win him in any way. Evelyn took off her apron and said faintly, "I've already prepared the food. Enjoy your meal." Evelyn was about to go upstairs when Harvey tugged at her arm. Evelyn stopped, and Harvey coldly said, "This is not how to treat guests." "I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat." "Take your time," Evelyn said in a low voice. How could she eat such a meal? "Even if you can't eat it, you have to be polite. This is your responsibility as my wife. If you really can't eat anything, sit there and watch us," Harvey said coldly and heartlessly to her, not giving Evelyn the chance to escape. Evelyn clenched her fists tightly. Harvey would humiliate her, but he would not let her go. It seemed like she could not avoid it. Evelyn turned around and returned to the table. Harvey held the woman with satisfaction and sat down. Only then did he see the food on the table. Harvey's gaze fell upon the familiar dishes, and his body stiffened as though he had been electrocuted. These dishes were all his favorite food. Does she remember what he likes to eat? No, she didn't care about him. She didn't do it because she was thinking about him. She must be playing some trick again. He didn't believe that she would stay here and not run. She must be thinking about escaping. It was just a way to keep him off balance. He wouldn't fall for it. Harvey tried his best to reject the softness in his heart and asked a servant to open a bottle of red wine. He chatted and laughed with the enchanting woman. Evelyn kept her head down the whole time and did not say anything. Harvey asked her if she wanted a drink, but Evelyn shook her head and refused. After Harvey and the woman drank for a while, the woman rolled her eyes and pretended to be drunk. She held Harvey's hand and said, "Harvey, I'm a little drunk." Harvey curled his lips and said gently, "If you're drunk, you can stay tonight." Evelyn stood up suddenly, and the bowl in her hand fell to the ground and shattered. Evelyn hurriedly went into the kitchen to get a towel. "I'm sorry, my hand slipped. I'll take care of it." Harvey looked at her flustered and helpless expression and said, "What's wrong? Are you unhappy that I asked her to stay?" Evelyn felt a sharp pain in her heart. "Harvey, do you know how much my heart hurts? You keep using a knife to cut my heart. I thought that if I left you like that, you'd start hating me, and in the end, you'd let me go. I didn't think you'd be so cruel as to take revenge and humiliate me." Taking a deep breath and forcefully holding back her tears, Evelyn shook her head. "No, this is your matter. It has nothing to do with me." She didn't want to be embarrassed in front of him. After Evelyn finished speaking, she bent down and began to pick up the pieces on the ground. The sharp fragments cut her hand. She did not even make a sound and hurriedly picked them up and was about to leave. Harvey kept looking at her. He saw the blood when she stood up. Harvey's eyes suddenly turned sharp. He stood up and grabbed her wrist. "Your hand is bleeding. Are you going to cripple yourself to gain my sympathy?" Evelyn's hands were trembling and her face was pale. However, she still shook her head stubbornly. "You're overthinking. I don't have that kind of thought. Let go of me." Harvey was so angry that his face turned deep red. He angrily shook off all the bowl pieces in her hand and said to the woman beside him in a deep voice, "Go to the bedroom and wait for me." Harvey's eyes were fierce. That woman knew her place. Now that she was no longer teasing him, she hurried upstairs. After all, she was glad that Harvey did not chase her away. Instead, he told her to wait in the bedroom. After the woman left, Harvey dragged Evelyn upstairs. "Let go of me!" Evelyn struggled, but she could not get away from Harvey. Harvey pulled her and said coldly, "If you keep struggling, I will carry you up." Evelyn immediately went silent. Harvey dragged Evelyn to the other bedroom. He pressed Evelyn onto the bed and walked to the cabinet. He found the first aid kit and took it out. Harvey pulled out a purple medicine and gauze. He sat down quietly to clean and bandage Evelyn's wound. He did not say a word, and Evelyn also remained silent. The gentleness of his hands made Evelyn's heart tighten. She could not understand why this person, who had kissed another woman and was so cruel to her, would dress her wound so gently. Is there still a tiny feeling for her within him? "Don't let your imagination run wild. You think I'm gentle to you because I still have feelings for you. I'm doing this because I don't want others to think that I am abusing a weak woman when I attend a party in a few days or some other time. If my relationship with you is bad in front of the media, it will do no one any good. This behavior is in the interests of the Cage Group." Evelyn's hand slightly trembled, and she subconsciously retracted her hand. Evelyn grabbed the bandage and tied it with one hand. "I know. I can also bandage myself." The most important thing in his heart was the Cage Group. For the sake of the company, he could also compromise with her. Harvey's face was dark as he pursed his lips to look at her. Evelyn lowered her head and softly said, "You should leave. That young lady is still waiting for you." Harvey saw her turn her face away before saying those words. His heart was burning with anger.